Hey y'all, it's me. It's your girl, and you already know. Like, share, and subscribe. What's up, real deal? And how are you today, honey? Yes, we supposed to get that rain, y'all, that hurricane. Yeah, so I'm prepared for it. So I'm gonna allow y'all time enough to come in here and hit that like button. Okay? Yeah. Let me see. Y'all come on in. I'm gonna allow y'all time to come in. I didn't know I was gonna go live. We just gonna talk up to it's time. Trying to find something right quick. But we're gonna talk up to the time to we're gonna check a video back out. Yeah, y'all come on in. Good morning, Cat. Man, I'm praying too. I think he gonna apologize. That's what I think. Cause see, he didn't want to take the stand. He could have got up there yesterday, but I think he want to make sure all of them. I think he want to apologize. I really do. I really do think he want to apologize. I just want to do a recap of this baby. This all I want to do. Henry Dinkins. Henry, get ready for trial. Get ready for trial. We gonna recap this morning. We gonna recap this morning, guys. Now he owe that baby. That baby took that baby. That baby spoke for his sister yesterday, man. That touched my heart. And Henry put his elbow up there like he was reading a TV. Like he was looking at TV. Like he was looking at the Falcons or somebody. I ain't lying. How he had his elbow up there. And he had his. We gonna talk, y'all, but let's go and get started. So what I wanted to come in here today, oh wait, it don't supposed to be playing. Hold on, y'all. It don't supposed to be playing. Hold on for a minute. It don't supposed to be playing, but I want to hear it again. All right, welcome. What we're gonna do this morning, I wanted to give a little recap because I think they come on at 9:30, and right now I'm not getting no signal saying that they getting ready to come on. So I want to be prepared. So at 9 o'clock, I probably go back and check while we on here. But y'all, this morning I want to talk about Henry Dinkins, ODL, an apology for taking his sister out the house. That's what I want to talk to him about. I wanted it. The little boy right here. I don't know if she know, but she's blessed because she got a son, 8 years old, just as smart as Henry Dinkins. And look where the baby sitting at. Look where the little Mickey Mouse sitting at, y'all. The age is sitting right there in that chair right there. That little boy right there smart. If don't nobody pay attention to what that child talking about, I hear most of y'all people out there who so naive in this game. That's where it's gonna always be. You know, like my son say, Mama, it's gonna be some people who gonna be against some stuff. I say I know, but it's sad that it's like that. But we got powerful people like us gonna stand by this young man family. DL. DL, a 10-year-old is old enough to talk, y'all, to go on the stand and talk. A 3-year-old, I seen a 5-year-old got on first 48 and talked clearly and said, my daddy shot my mama. And he told the truth. She told the truth. So stop thinking that a 10-year-old and a 10-year-old way old enough to talk. An 8-year-old, good morning, baby. A 10-year-old can talk good. 8-year-old can tell everything. 5-year-old know how to talk. 2-year-old know how to tell. Honey, we living in a different time. Because a lot of folks would have said, I be checking y'all about it, but them the sick ones. But I know that I got a feeling that he gonna apologize this morning. I really do. Good morning, baby. I really do. I think he's gonna apologize this morning. But I want to get back into this video right here. Look at the little girl. They put that in there for a reason, y'all. Minnie and Mickey Mouse. And he gonna look over there at his mama.
Well, hello.
Hello.
Did you find some friends?
Yep.
Can I sit over here for you?
Yep.
I like Mickey Mouse. All right. So I know you've talked to a lot of people today, right? You remember talking to me earlier?
Yeah.
You remember what you told me?
No.
You don't remember what you told me? Okay.
No. I always forget stuff.
You always forget stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But I
Now,
think you can probably tell me some
hold up.
pretty important stuff. How do you spell your first name?
DETOR and OUS.
Detorius?
Okay, hold on for a minute. For those who don't know what kind of channel I have a reaction channel. I have to react to things, okay? Now, let me tell you something. This little boy said right there, sitting with his mama across for him, I forget everything. As if he's supposed to say it. He don't forget everything. It was planted in his head that he's supposed to forget everything. Y'all see, I be paying stuff attention. She's sitting right there. But on the second one, she's not gonna be sitting right there. He don't forget everything. He ain't forget how to spell his name.
LEY.
And when's your birthday, huh?
What's
October
up, Tim?
28th.
2011. And you're gonna be in 3rd grade, just like my daughter, right?
Yep.
Yep. Just like mine.
Turning 9.
Is Detorius is that how, am I saying it right?
Detorius?
Yeah. You know what?
Or Dink.
Or Dink?
DINK.
My daughter's
right.
name is Tori, so I like that. Detorius. All right. Okay, so I know that I talked to you earlier, and Detective Overt also talked to you, okay? And I know that a lot's gone on within the day, and we're just trying to get some details out of this little brain, because I know this little brain is a good brain, okay? And I know it's a smart brain, all right? So I know that your daddy picked you up last night, is that right?
Yeah.
Where did he pick you up from?
My nana house.
Your nana.
14 West 6th Street from number 1.
Okay. And was he always just going to
pick? You know what? You are so right. And I've been saying that too. I said that when he was in that room, the mama sat right there. It seemed like that's what I kept saying yesterday. Like you just said, something up with her. She didn't interact with him. But I said that. I said that yesterday. I said it seemed like they don't have their mama there, but they don't have her there. Y'all know what I mean? You know how the mama there, but the mama not there. They need some love. That's what I think. The children need some love. But I'm not bashing her though. But
only you up? Was that what he was originally going to do? Just pick you up? Yeah. And then what happened when Dad got there?
He told me to brush my teeth, and then my sister came. He said she don't mind if he come.
Did she want to go with him? Okay. And was Grandma there?
Yep. My nana told her don't go, and she went.
Okay, so she wanted to go. So Grandma said don't go, and she went.
Yep.
And what'd your dad say when Grandma said don't go?
All he said was, come on, let's go.
He said, come on, let's go. And where did you sit in that car?
Front seat.
Front seat? Now, which car was he in?
That black one.
That really cool one with the line on the front?
Yep.
Okay. What kind of car is that? Camaro?
Yeah.
Okay. And did your brother, is it Cardell? Was he there?
You know what, T? And y'all, we just talking to the trial. Come on. You're absolutely right. You need a child. She did good as a detective, but you need a child psychology in that room with her. But she did good, but she did real good to me. And but you still need a child side. But he taught DL so smart anyway. He'll get on her.
No.
Did he want to go?
Yeah.
So was he there?
No.
He wasn't there when your dad picked you up?
Was he at my nana house?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, he was at my nana house.
Okay, so he was there when you got picked up, right?
Yeah.
And did he want to go too?
Yeah, but my nana said.
Okay. Did your daddy say no too?
No.
Your daddy didn't say no?
My nana just said no. He just listened to my nana.
Okay. Did your dad say something about there was no room in the car for you?
Asia Terrell's brother, talking after she was reported missing is key evidence in this case because he was there the whole time. So we're going to break in here and then we'll get you back into the courtroom. And
yeah, DL. See, y'all, let's talk DL. Let me see. The lady did good. The
was
lady,
a wedding
I give
photographer
her
with over
credit.
15 years working experience. In photo is
Hold
a
on, yeah.
photo editing tool that I
Oh yes, I was aware.
The lady did a good job. She did a good job because you know what? DL so smart. DL, let me put up in case somebody want to come up, I'm gonna drop the link. DL so smart, he'll tell that lady what you talking about. You already asked me that. DL told her yesterday, you already asked me that. So he a smart little boy anyway. I was over here laughing. That little boy right there, he outsmart anybody. And should have told her to stay like her grandmama said. He want to be. Wait, y'all, let me make sure we ain't missing it. Hold on. Let me. Yeah, but the grandmama said, what's her name, told him to come on. Now, the grandma blamed it on the little boy. The grandma said the little boy, hold on, y'all, let me make sure we ain't missing it. I supposed to come on at 9 or 9:30, but I don't want us to miss. Yeah, you should have left that child there and go and spend time with your own child. Let me see. Hey, y'all, it's 14 of us. Can I get all 14 of y'all hit the like button, please? Just hit the like button. Y'all, it ain't gonna get y'all name. I'm trying to make sure we can see everything. Yeah, let me see. I don't see them coming on. Yeah, they said 9:30. Law and crime not even ready. Hold on, y'all. I don't even see them ready. I don't want us to miss it. Hold on, y'all. Hold on 1 second. Let me make sure we ain't missing it. Gonna miss nothing. We can't miss it this morning now. Hold on for 1 second, y'all. Let me see. Try. They haven't put it up yet, y'all, but I keep checking. Okay. I'll keep coming back and check for us.
But he was getting picked up. But no one else. No one else. When did you find out that he was picked up by somebody?
When my mom had called and said, Henry said to make sure that you get the kids something to put on. I'm like, oh, okay, so who else went with him? And she was like, oh, Bree went.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, so I just picked both of them some clothes off because I'm like, I need to work anyways.
I put it up for y'all,
Okay.
T.
So where'd you go right after Daddy picked you up?
We went to go get him some cigarettes, and then we went to his girlfriend's house.
Okay. And the girlfriend is who?
He said he went to get some cigarettes.
What's her name again?
Is it Andrea?
Yeah.
That's her name. Had you ever met her before?
Yeah, smart.
Yeah.
Okay. When's the last time you saw your dad? Do you know? Before this day.
At the store, bookshop.
When was that? So just in passing, you've seen him? Like he didn't take you or anything? You just seen him? Does he say hi when he sees you?
No, he just gave me his eyes and tried to get his number.
Okay. So you don't see your dad on a regular basis?
No.
So were you super excited about going there today?
Yep.
Last night? I would
Because
be
he
too.
said he had the Xbox and a PS4.
Heck yeah, that's fun, isn't it?
Yep.
Right, I want to go too. All right. So what did you guys do last night?
Played again.
Where were you playing?
What was our plan? What game was our plan?
Yeah.
GTA.
Is that Grand Theft Auto?
Yep.
Okay. Number 5?
Yep.
And where were you playing that at?
In the living room.
Okay, who was in the living room with you?
Andrea.
Andrea, where was your daddy?
In the room with Bree.
What was he doing in the room with Bree?
What did I say again, Mom?
Well, just think. Use your brain. What was he doing?
He said, what I say, Mom?
Was he sleeping?
No.
Was the door open?
Yeah.
Door was open? Okay. Is there a game in there?
Oh, I just forgot he was playing the game with Bree.
He was what?
Playing the game.
What game?
It's a jumping game.
A jumping game? Okay.
Yeah, I think she did.
So he wasn't playing with you. He was playing with her.
Yes.
Okay. Were you sad that he was playing with her and not you?
Yeah.
Okay. You were?
Yep. I was mad.
You were mad? Why were you mad?
Because he didn't play the game with me.
Okay. And so then, what'd you do after that? Jim,
We ate dinner.
what'd you have?
Pizza rolls.
Mm-hmm.
A sandwich.
Mm-hmm. What kind of sandwich?
Ham.
Ham sandwich? Was it like one someone made?
Me and my sister made it.
You and your sister made it? Okay. And did you all eat together, or how did that go down?
We had to eat in his living room because he don't have a table.
He doesn't have a table, does he?
No.
So was everyone having dinner together, or just you and your sister?
We had me and my sister.
Okay.
Me and my sister had to sit in the living room.
And then what were they doing?
In the living room talking and smoking.
Okay, so they're talking and smoking while you're eating?
Yep.
Okay. And then what'd you do?
We was playing the game for a little bit more, and then we went to bed. And when I woke up, I saw her feet kick me. And then I woke up and then she was gone.
Okay. When you say you saw her, were you in the same bed as your sister?
Yeah.
And was that the room with the air conditioner? Okay. And where was your daddy at?
In the living room.
And where was he at in the living room?
On the air mattress.
With who?
His girlfriend.
Okay. When you went to bed, your daddy was on the air mattress?
Mm-hmm. And when I woke up, both of them was gone.
Okay. So let's talk about that. Was the door to your bedroom open or closed when you went to bed?
Open.
Open. Okay. And so do you know about what time you went to bed?
No.
You don't know? Okay. Your sister was on the bed though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember what she was wearing?
A long white tee
Mm-hmm.
and some black shorts.
And some black shorts. Did you guys go to bed at the same time?
No.
Who went to bed first?
Me. My sister.
Your sister went to bed first?
Yep.
And what'd you do?
Playing the game for a little bit longer. Then I went to sleep.
Okay. When you went to sleep, was your daddy asleep?
Yeah, I heard him.
You could hear him snoring?
Yep.
Does Andrea snore?
No.
You don't?
Oh, I hear.
Okay, so you could hear your daddy snore.
Yep.
Okay.
He loud.
He's loud? Okay. And then when you went to sleep, did you ever wake up at all in the middle of the night? Did you ever wake up to go potty or anything?
Yeah.
Did you do that last night? Okay.
I turned on the light and then I saw Bree was gone.
Okay. Did you go looking for her?
Mm-hmm. Me and my dad, when he got back, maybe he told me he was lost.
Okay.
She was lost.
Okay. So when you woke up, was it light or dark outside?
Morning.
It was morning, so it was light up outside?
Yep.
Okay. So when you woke up, your daddy was gone. Was Andrea there?
All right, we need a commercial break. Compelling listening to this little one recount what he remembers. We'll get a break in here. And
what y'all want to say about that? What y'all want to say about what y'all just heard? Now,
Looking for an easier way to get that LLC next to your business name? Say hello to Taylor Brand.
you said,
just
let
go
me
to
go
their
back.
site,
Let's
enter your
read
LLC.
it.
Did she say that to you? Or is that just what you thought?
Let's read the comments. I got to make sure, y'all, we don't miss this thing. Let me make sure we're not missing it. Let me go back right on this one right here. There ain't no lights picked up for me. Hold up, guys. There ain't no lights picked up. Y'all hit the like button. Oh, here we go. Whoa. Hold up. They doing what we doing. They looking at the one we looking at now. Hold on, y'all. Okay. I go back and check it. I make sure I check up on it. What y'all want? Y'all hit the link. Y'all like the text. Y'all hit the link and come on up. They can't see y'all face. You can block your face. Let's talk about this, y'all. Cause y'all saying some good stuff, but I don't know. Y'all come up here. Y'all come up here and talk. But you said, let me go back to what y'all said. Said that she did. I don't know what y'all talking about. See, I don't know. I don't understand this. Y'all hit the link. Hit the link. Creative mother knows that Henry was a CM. That's what we call it over here, CM. And she said, answer for you, yes. And I said, allegedly, I thought she would. Allegedly. And she did. She said it herself in an interview. Yeah, okay, where is it in the interview that she said that? It's not in none of the interviews that I've seen. I haven't seen that in the interviews. None of them. When you have children, you must watch who you bring around your children. And that's all it is.
That's what you thought because they were both gone? Okay, I understand that. Did you ever see your sister leaving the bedroom? You did? When was that?
At nighttime.
At nighttime? Were you in bed when you saw that? What did you see?
I saw her walk downstairs with my dad,
With your dad?
and then they shut the door.
Okay. Were you out of the bed? Or did you get up and watch them do that? Or how did that go down? Because from where that bed is, you can't see that. Or did you just see them leave and you heard it? Or how did that?
I saw them leave.
You saw them leave? What did you see?
I saw them walk down the stairs.
Okay. You
And then
saw.
I heard the door open because it'll make lots of noise.
Okay, so you heard. So I'm just looking at it from this way. I'm gonna draw. I'm not a very good drawer, okay, at all. Like, all right, so the stairs are over here. And then, I'm not very good. These are the stairs. I'm gonna do this. All right, and then I'm not very good at this. The stairs go all the way down here, okay? But up here, this is the windows, okay? And you don't. And there was an air mattress here, right?
Down in the living room.
Yeah, that's in the living room. And then we have couches, a couch here, right?
Yep.
And then we also have a couch
Here.
here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not very good at this. And then this is the kitchen area. I'm just gonna draw like a kitchen table, even though there's no table in there. Right? And then back here is the bedroom, right?
Yep.
Okay. And here's the door to the bedroom. Okay. So you can't really see the stairs, right? You can't, right? Where did you see your dad and sister in here?
Walking down the stairs.
From the bed, you can't see the stairs though, right? So you just knew they went down the stairs?
I peeked.
Oh, you gotta tell me that. What'd you peek? What'd you see?
I saw my sister. They were walking down the stairs talking.
Okay.
And then they slammed the door.
Then they slammed the door?
Yep.
Did you hear your sister say anything?
No.
Was your daddy saying anything?
Yeah.
What was he saying?
He was just talking about cars.
He was just talking about cars?
How he gonna get more.
Okay. Was it dark out when you saw this or light out or something?
Light.
It was light out? Okay. Where was Andrea?
Looking in the front window and looking in the back
That's
window.
where she was, Kathy.
Because
Okay.
she was trying to find both of them.
Kathy, he just answered your question. He just answered your question, Kathy. He just answered your question. Did you hear him? He said, you said, where was Andrea? She was looking out the window. You said, where was the girlfriend? He just answered your question, so don't act like you don't know that question no more. Wait, y'all, let me make sure it is not on. Hold on. I'm trying to keep up when it come on. Hold on for a minute. I don't want to miss this because it's going to be good today. Can y'all please hit the like button for me? Can you please go out and hit the like button? Those who watching the channel, please go hit the like button for my hard work. Thank you. Henry Dinkins. Oh, I already got it right here. Let me see how they posted. And they ain't came on yet, yeah. Make sure I don't miss it today. He just told you what the little girl was. The little boy, I can't tell you. The little boy just told you. Y'all got to listen. That little boy said she was looking out the blinds.
But when you saw them and that you peeked.
Hold on. That's the little boy telling you. I can't. He's not making up nothing. The little boy telling y'all what happened.
And I'm not very good at this. The stairs go all the way down here, okay? But up here, this is the windows, okay? And you don't. And there was an air mattress here, right?
Down in the living room.
Yeah, that's in the living
I
room.
don't like to.
And then we have couches, a couch here, right?
Yep.
Good morning.
And then we also have a couch
Yeah, he said good morning to
here,
you.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Not very good at this. And then this is the kitchen area. I'm just gonna draw like a kitchen table, even though there's no table in there. Right? And then back here is the bedroom, right?
Yep.
Okay. And here's the door to the bedroom. Okay. So you can't really see the stairs, right? You can't, right? Where did you see your dad and sister in here?
Walking down the stairs.
From the bed, you can't see the stairs though, right? So
You know
you just
that they
knew they
went
went down the stairs?
I peeked.
Oh, you gotta tell me that. What'd you peek? What'd you see?
I saw my sister. They were walking down the stairs talking.
That's
Okay.
what
And then they slammed the door.
Then they slammed the door?
Yep.
Did you hear your sister say anything?
No.
Was your daddy saying anything?
Yeah.
What was he saying?
He was just talking about cars.
He was just talking about cars?
How you gonna get more?
Okay. Was it dark out when you saw this or light out or something?
Light.
It was light out? Okay.
we're getting upset now. The mama not in there with him now
Where was
too.
Andrea?
Looking in the front window and looking in the back window.
Okay.
Because she was trying to find both of them.
That's
Okay.
what she said.
But when you saw them and that you peeked, was it still dark outside or light outside?
Or
It was light outside? Okay. Are you sure about that?
well,
Did you go back to bed?
no.
What did you do?
I'm in the living room. She told me to go in the living room.
He telling the truth.
Andrea told you to go into the living room. All right. So you're saying you woke up.
Yep.
You said a couple things, and that's why I'm a little confused. You originally said you woke up and they were gone. And you told me that Andrea told you to go out to the living room.
Everything this young man saying, this baby saying, it's the same thing Andrea said. He know what he talking about. Good morning.
Point.
Eating whatever
Right.
it is.
And you also told me that you woke up because you heard them and that you peeked and saw them go down and Andrea was sleeping, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I need to know from your smart brain
Yep, to me.
which way you remember it because it's a huge detail. It's a huge, and if it's light outside or if it's dark outside is a pretty big detail too. Because I know when Andrea told you to go to the air mattress, I know it was light outside. Is that correct? Okay. Because she said that too.
Good morning, baby.
Was she up or was she sleeping on that air mattress when
She
you?
was up looking through back and front window for my mom. I meant my dad and Bree.
Okay. And
Yeah.
you said it was dark out or light out.
I said it was light.
Okay. When you say it was light, was it like when you're eating breakfast or like when it's
I couldn't eat breakfast. He didn't let me.
okay. What I'm trying to say though is when you get up and you say it's light outside, is the sun just coming up or is the sun out?
Out.
Out. So when you peeked and you saw them leave,
The sun was out.
the sun was out. Okay, I get that. So you think it was early in the morning? Okay. I wonder what time the sun rose today.
Me too.
I wonder if we can find that out. Hey Siri, what time did the sun rise today? Let's see if it says anything. I don't know how to use this watch.
Sun.
The sun?
Sorry, one more time. Sunrise was at 5:38 today.
5:38 today. So that is early.
Yeah, it is.
Sun rose.
It was pretty bright when I left out at like 7.
You told me he called you at 7:47.
He called me roughly around 7:47, but I was in mid getting dressed because I was like,
Something's wrong with his phone. That's why he can't hear the call.
Okay. So the sun is
I
up.
hear him defending his daddy. He said, let me back it up. He said something wrong with something. I don't know with the mama phone or what. This a smart little boy.
Sun just coming up, or is the sun out?
Hello, girl.
Out. Out. So when you peeked and you saw them leave,
The sun was out.
the sun was out. Okay, I get that. So you think it was early in the morning? Yeah. Okay. I wonder what time the sun rose today.
me too.
I wonder if we can find that out. Hey Siri, what time did the sun rise today? Let's see if it says anything. I don't know how to use this watch.
Sun.
The sun?
Sorry, one more time. Sunrise was at 5:38 today.
5:38 today. So that is early.
Yeah, it is.
Sun rose.
It was pretty bright when I left out at like 7.
You told me he called you at 7:47.
He called me roughly around 7:47, but I was in mid getting dressed because I was like,
Something's wrong with his phone. That's why he can't hear the call.
Okay. So the sun is up at 5:38 this morning, and that's where you peeked and you saw them, correct? So you don't know if your sister was there all night or not. Is that correct? Because you were sleeping up until you peeked and saw your dad going down the stairs with them and slamming the door and talking about cars. Okay.
which that excites the kids because that's the reason why he likes to go over there and Minbury.
Okay. So up until
He
that,
liked to go over there because of snacks. Like what we got.
he did have some good snacks. He had some peanut butter crunches in there. I was like wanting to get some because those are good.
Did you look up there?
I sure did. I looked
They have
everywhere.
Nice snacks.
Yeah, they do have a lot of
He
good
gave her
snacks.
Oreos. She said.
Oh, they were the vanilla Oreos, weren't they? I saw those on the ground.
She got asked mom. She said, "Oh, I'm going to contrast the night again because he has snacks."
Yes. You know, we got a guy here we call Snacks because all he does is eat snacks all day long. We call him Snacks. Isn't that funny?
Is it him?
No. Sometimes I can be called Snacks because I'm always eating too.
That little
Okay,
boy is hilarious.
So we know at 5:38 you saw it was at least 5:38 because it was light. Okay, so once your daddy leaves with your sister, then what happens?
What happens?
What happened after you peeked and saw them walking down the stairs and the door slamming?
Andrea told her to run the living room.
Where was Andrea at?
Looking back to front window.
So she was looking from each window?
Yep.
Okay, that's what she was doing?
Yeah.
Okay,
You can even ask her.
you can ask
You're
her.
going to say yes.
Okay, and then what happened? Did you go to the living room? Did you
Yeah.
go back to bed?
I went to the living room. Then I didn't go to bed.
Okay, and what'd you do?
I pretend I was asleep. I was trying to turn on the TV. She told me to turn it off.
Okay, and what was Andrea doing while that was going on? While you were pretending to sleep?
She was on her phone after she was working.
She was on her phone. Did your daddy have his phone?
No.
He
it was
didn't?
dead.
The phone was dead? So your daddy didn't have no phone at all? And he left with your sister? Okay, and then what happened?
And that's all.
Did your daddy come back?
Oh, yeah.
And what happened when he came back? How was he acting?
He was acting silly.
What was he doing?
He was just yelling.
What was he yelling about?
About his juice missing.
About his juice missing?
Think he drank
It's,
the juice?
no, it was his orange juice.
Okay. Then, what else was he talking about?
Nothing else. Just his orange juice because he got mad. He was yelling at his girlfriend.
What was
and
he?
me.
What
He
was,
said, "Who stole my orange juice?"
okay. Was she asking any questions to him? Did she ask him where he gone?
No,
Was he asking where Bree was at?
no. He
Nothing.
wasn't thinking about that.
No, I'm asking about Andrea. Was she asking any questions? She wasn't. Did you ask any questions?
No.
No? Okay.
Y'all, let's talk about that. We already seen the video. Let's talk about it, y'all. He go back to what you said, Nika. She didn't, Andrea didn't ask him no question. The little boy not gonna ask him no question because that's his dad. He might get popped. But Andrea didn't ask no question or nothing. Nobody asked nothing but everybody concerned, peeping and all that kind of stuff. But they're afraid of that man. So he must be is he abusive or what? So that's something to think about in this case. Everybody afraid of him.
so then what happened? Why didn't he feed you? Where'd you go?
I was on my mom.
Why is that?
Because they said she was
Yeah,
pissing
yeah.
him off. That's why he said I gotta go back to my mom.
Okay. What was mom cussing him out?
Now going back to what you said, Smith, 2008. She says obvious. The girlfriend has no say in a relationship. There are a lot of relationship right now. The women don't have no say. Either the men don't have no say. He did whatever he wanted when he wanted. That's why she didn't say anything. She was happy he was come. He was coming. No, he stayed there. One day he was coming around. He lived there. His clothes and everything. He stayed there. He just mistreated her. He mistreated her, but they was going together. I wish people start ignoring the fact they was going together. But she broke up with him. She broke up with him. Y'all know how it is. You be want to break out, and folk don't want you to leave. Yeah, we got 34 people watching. We should have 34 likes now because we all females and a couple men's in here.
About?
I don't even know what happened on the phone. When he got off the phone, all he said was your mom was cussing at me.
Okay.
You get in their head psychologically.
Did he say anything about where your sister was? Did you ask him where my sister was? I know that who packed up the clothes?
To take him over to my dad's house.
Mm-hmm. No. Those clothes that your sister had, that you had, that your mom brought.
Oh, my dad.
Your dad, he packed them up.
Mm-hmm.
He gave them to you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And
I can take him home.
so you could take them home. Okay. Was anyone asking where Bree was?
No.
Did your daddy drive you anywhere?
He went a couple places.
Let's talk about where your daddy went. Where did he go?
He went to go fishing with a couple people.
He went fishing?
Yeah.
Okay.
He went fishing.
Uh-huh.
Thank you, baby, for smashing that like button.
And
He went
Thank
fishing
you.
last night?
yeah.
With
Oh no, not the last night.
I'm sorry, this morning?
Yeah.
He went fishing? Were you there?
Yeah, I was in the car.
You were in the car?
Thank you,
Which car were
Jamil.
you in?
That purple one.
Purple one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So was this after you peeked and saw?
Yeah.
He went fishing. Who did he go fishing with?
He said some 6 people.
Now, what you say right here? He said she was claiming him, but at the interview, Henry told police that Andrea was his friend. But that's because and see, Henry used psychology on these women. He one of them kind of men that what he is. He a CM. He got problems himself. So he think he's that he running things. He one of them men to think that, oh, we in a relationship. The woman thinks she in a relationship, but behind your back, he telling them that y'all not in a relationship. That's the kind of man he is, and there are plenty of men to do that. You'll think y'all going together. He calling you his friend, calling you his friend. That's how Henry is. He just slow down like that.
6 people he saw that he gave them $100.
Okay, let's get a break in here and get you back into the courtroom for more right
Yeah,
after this.
let's get our break too. Let's talk about it.
You can get free prep and STI.
Yeah, y'all. That's how we got to call. See, you know what?
No doctor's visits.
What we got to do.
Henry Dinkins continues in the state of Iowa.
It was a knife.
You know what we have to do as people? We have to, if it is what it is, it is what it is. We can't make nothing up, y'all. If it's some low down men out here. I don't did all that. It's some low men out here. I don't see a man told me that he wasn't even married, and the whole man all married with a ring on his finger. You could be with people and they'll be lying. Man, that dude looks suspicious in the interview. This action, thank you. So he did it. Henry just, it's there. It's on his face. And you know what? Today, I believe he might apologize. He was scared to take that stand. He wasn't gonna take that stand. He took that stand. That prosecutor was gonna eat him up. He was gonna cry. He was gonna walk off that stand. He was gone. He threw. DL saved his sister life. Andrea, be honest, Andrea and Deasia, Andrea, Breasia, DL, that man help him out the ditch, the fisherman. All them say that girl life. All them people say that CM like, I'm not gonna feel sorry for that man, y'all. I knew one that wanted me to feel sorry for him because of what he did to my nieces. Them, I would never. I told him I believe everything them kids say, and they were younger than this little boy right here, y'all. So they use psychology, young. It ain't nothing new.
He had some bleach and a knife.
Yeah, bleach and knife.
What kind of knife?
It's some big knives.
So you saw him grab a bleach and knife out?
Yeah.
Where were you at when he was fishing?
I was in the car.
I know, but
and
where
when
was
we
he?
went to his house, when we went back to his house, he forgot something. He went in the house to grab his big old knife, and then he put it in his trunk.
Okay. So let me talk. What color?
Okay, the question is, I wonder why they ain't on yet. Hold on, y'all. I don't see no light on. They said we're gonna be at 9:30, and I don't see nothing. It's nothing on. I am so excited. The question was, so my question is, and like I said, if y'all want to come up, hit this link. My question is, was this baby still alive when DL rolled back with his dad when he saw his dad shoot that baby? Now, see, you got to listen to this. Listen to this. DL said that. Listen, DL mentioned that when he was 11. He mentioned that when he was 11. Right here, he's 8. Right here, he's 8. He was 11. That's why I was trying to tell y'all. Right here, he's 8. 11 when he was on that stand. You don't hear the difference in his voice. on the stand, I'm gonna say what I got to say to get my daddy locked up because I already done said what he did. He took her out that door. Now, when he said what he said in the car, of course he didn't see him shoot him because he's not bringing it up when he was 8. But he's saying that now because he's gonna say he angry. So I'm gonna say no, he didn't see him shoot him. He said that in the courtroom, which anybody got kids would know. I'm gonna say anything to make sure I get you locked up for doing that to my sister. That's what DL did when he was in the court. But this here with this lady right here, that's when he was 8. See, you see, then, and now. So what I say, no, she wasn't in the car. Everybody know, we all know she wasn't in the car. Defense lawyer know. We know he angry. He defended his sister. He didn't see it. He didn't see him do that.
It's purple. It's purple? Okay. Where did he grab that knife from?
His trunk.
His trunk?
And then he washed it off.
He washed off with what?
The knife.
Washed it off with what though?
Some bleach and some
Yeah, Taria.
a rag.
Already gone.
He washed it off with a rag.
With a rag? Where was the rag at?
The car.
In his car? Okay. Do you know where he went fishing this morning? Do you think you could take me that way?
I don't remember that way.
What if I drove you down
It's
that
a
way?
long way.
That's okay.
I don't remember. I don't remember where he was at.
Okay.
Just
So
the place that he got stuck.
he got stuck? His car
He
got...
needed another push.
Who helped push him?
The 6 people that he asked.
Now, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that part, y'all. Let's talk about that part. Now, the man who helped him out the ditch, Jerry, he didn't say nobody was in the car. I don't know if he didn't see DL. What DL, was he playing his game or what? He just told y'all everything the little boy said was on the stand. He said he got stuck in the ditch. He got stuck in the ditch. Now, how many times did he get stuck in the ditch? But he did get stuck in the ditch. But the man don't remember seeing nobody stuck in. Jerry, the man helped him out the ditch, don't remember seeing nobody in the car. But that baby know he got stuck in that ditch. Sure did. That little boy saying a whole lot that they said on the stand. There ain't nobody in the car.
That he went fishing with.
So this morning, after your sister left, he came back and got you, and then he went fishing. Did you see his fishing poles?
He didn't have any.
He didn't have no fishing poles?
He barred
Did he?
bite it for he can fish with them.
Yeah. That's right, Taria. They were laid back. He was in the car. He was in the car when he was in the ditch. And then like what you just said right here, Nika, then the car had tinted windows. They sure did. So the man probably didn't see him. Correct.
He what?
He barred it for he can fish with them.
So he had the fishing pole?
He borrowed them from
Yeah.
borrowed fishing poles from other people.
Did you actually see your dad with fishing poles? Or did he tell you he went fishing?
He told me he went fishing.
But he left you in the car?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you saw him with bleach and a knife?
Yeah. Big
Okay. I know y'all want to sit here and look at this, but we already done seen it. So what we doing is reacting. That's how I get paid over here. But did y'all hear what this little boy just said? He didn't see no fishing rod. He didn't see no people. That Henry used psychology on the little boy, on his own son, and told his son what he was going to do with those guys down there. But no, it's no guys. The dad lied to him. Then he did something with the bleach. There was bleach. So the little boy, a smart 8-year-old young man. And y'all know we got plenty of them smart kids.
Big knife. And he cleaned it?
Yep.
Okay. What, did you ask him about that?
No.
Okay.
He said, not that.
Let's talk about, he went fishing. Did you see him go with people, or did he just get out by himself?
He got out by himself. When he went down there, there was already 6 people down there.
That's what he told you. Did you see those 6 people? You never saw anybody.
He just told me there were 6 people down there.
He told you there were 6 people down there. How long do you think you were in that car?
Long.
How long?
I couldn't see the time.
Okay. Did it felt like forever though? After your daddy went fishing, where did you go?
He took me to my nana house. To go to her.
To meet your mom?
Yeah.
Okay.
By McDonald's in the parking lot.
Okay. Have you ever been to that area where your daddy went fishing?
No.
You've never been there before? Do you know where your daddy has a trailer?
It's at the shop.
I don't know. I'm just asking if you know any other place where your daddy lives. Do you think you would remember?
He don't have a house. He only has a house with his girlfriend.
Okay. Do you think that if I took you to an area, you might be able to say, yeah, I was down this way? Do you think you could do that?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. When he got something out of the truck, what, did you see everything he was getting?
Also, some bleach and a big knife in a rag.
What color was the rag?
Purple.
Purple?
That's the rag that was in the bathroom when the little girl was getting the mud out her shoes. Henry said that, not Henry, but the baby said that it was too widespread. This boy right here is too smart for me. He remember what color rags was in the bathroom. He must be on the honor roll. He said 2 white rags and red rags, 2 red rags. And the red rag had dirt on it. Cause Breasia stepped in mud. That's what he said. That's what he said. Yeah, I don't know. And
the knife was purple? Was it in a case or no?
It was not in a case.
It was not in a case?
It was in that. He just poured it out.
How big was this when you tell me?
It was very big.
Show me with your hands.
Are you sick of having issues with your webinars?
He don't mention that knife so many times. And Henry sat there and watched his son like he was watching
time on troubleshooting with attendees.
Sitting there with his elbow up right there, like, oh, listen, my smart baby.
Stays in the car. A lot of the facts we know about the case seem to be coming out through this little boy, Michael Jeffers, watching along with us. This is a bench trial, so a jury would have trouble parsing what the child is saying out. How about a judge, though? How much credibility will a judge, do you think, give this youngster's recollection of events? Because, frankly, a lot of it does sort of fit into the state's theory, but on the other hand, every now and then he throws out a zinger that just doesn't seem to make any sense.
Yeah, because he's angry.
Well, I mean, anytime your case relies on the testimony of a minor, you kind of hold your breath and because you don't know what to expect. But to answer your question, it was a very intimate decision to waive the jury and ask for a bench trial. I've said on this show before that, one of my first felony trials was a rape trial where I had a co-counsel who was a former retired judge. And he advised me, I was a young kid at that point, he advised me, he said, we're going to waive the jury on this one. Trust me. I debated it. I said, that's a terrible mistake. I was young. I'd been an attorney, I think, for a couple of years. And it worked out. We got an acquittal. because that former judge saw the evidence, he saw the facts, he knew exactly how it would play out, and he told me, if it plays out this way, this judge is going to be better than a jury, and he was right. So to answer your question, the way this judge is going to look at it, I have to assume that the defense attorneys knew that this was going to come in, and they made the calculation that a judge would be better for their client than the jury. So we still don't see the balance of it. The attorneys already have, but it's very, 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 very bad for the defense. The defense must have known that this was going to come. They must have made the calculation that a judge will probably parse through it a little bit better than a jury.
Mm-hmm. We know the lake where she was found, Breasia, was about 30 minutes away from the apartment, and they
30 minutes away from the apartment, y'all. 30 minutes away from the apartment. But they didn't get no acquittal yesterday. That judge didn't go for him yesterday. The judge didn't, honey, they didn't win yesterday. Defense didn't win yesterday, y'all. They didn't win nothing yesterday. They didn't no acquittal. No. Henry is gonna speak. He got something to say. That's why I said I believe, but I just looked at the thing right here. It said that they were coming on tomorrow instead of today. I don't understand it. But yeah, y'all, let's talk about it. Oh, what you were saying right there. Yeah, he was on the part. Let me go. I think that was the day when he got out the car. Yeah, fidgety. Yeah, let me see. That was day when he was at that car. Well, let me ask y'all something. Did y'all see? Do anybody want to see his shoes? Did anybody miss the shoes? Because I can show the shoes when he stepped in the mud. Do anybody want to see that? Before I go to the one he's standing outside. Yeah, he going on the operate. He going. Oh, he done. I thought it was today too. And then when I put it on there, it's saying tomorrow. Anyway, his right to testify. No, he didn't. He didn't testify. He said he didn't want to testify. That's what he said. He didn't want to testify. But he said he wanted to speak. He got something to say though. No, the shoes that they found of his is right here. Hold on, let me show y'all this. First they was gold and the police said they was white. But right here, the color of the shoes. Let me go out right here and come right here. Hold on, y'all. Let me go out right here. Let me stop this one. I be like y'all. I be listening. I be like, did I just hear these say this? Hold on, y'all. This one, 14. Yeah, let me go right here. Let me go right here. Now, these the shoes I was talking about they collected.
Still looking to expand your team? Tackle every initiative with a freelance talent who will seamlessly join your...
It is day 6 in the trial of Henry Dinkins, the man accused of killing 10-year-old Breasia Terrell in 2020. Prosecutors called a Davenport police officer who shared what he found inside of Dinkins' RV. The officer was executing a search warrant after Breasia was reported missing when he discovered a white T-shirt, a pair of pants, and tennis shoes, all covered in dirt and mud. The officer also noted a machete on top of a microwave.
Did you make any observations?
Look at that, y'all.
As I was looking at it, I could see what appeared to be some type of white cloth or paper on the serrated edge of the machete.
Hold up. Let me tell y'all something. Let go back to right here.
This officer who shared
everything that 8-year-old boy said, Henry had it. He had that Chevy, and it was purple, like the little boy said. And he had that Clorox. That little boy on point. Smart 8-year-old. The girlfriend said Henry could have changed shoes. You know what, Anonymous? Henry could have changed shoes 4 or 5 times. Yeah, he had them in the car. The other one, he stepped in that mud too. Then he put the other ones on. He could have stepped in the mud with the other ones. Y'all got to realize that man tried to clean up. He tried to clean up his mess. I don't put nothing past nobody like Henry.
What he found inside of Dinkins' RV, the officer was executing a search warrant after Breasia was reported missing when he discovered a white T-shirt, a pair of pants, and tennis shoes, all covered in dirt and mud. The officer also noted a machete on top of a microwave.
Did you make any observations of its condition?
As I was looking at it, I could see what appeared to be some type of white cloth or paper on the serrated edge of the machete.
The state arguing that it appears the machete was cleaned off. That's a theory that matches Breasia's younger brother's claim that he saw Dinkins clean a bloody machete, but the defense points out that no female DNA was found on.
Y'all hear that? Y'all hear that? DL, see, the dad ain't no smarter than DL. That's why the dad was sitting there smiling. He didn't get mad at DL. He would get mad. His daddy got something against women too. I see a little female in him too. He did something he didn't have no business with that baby, and she was gonna tell it. And that's why the prosecutor said, I want to get to her part, the prosecutor part too. I don't think he liked women's 10 a.m. today. Okay, good. So if they come on 10 a.m., I got to put it on my other show. I be following both of them. So let me put it on at 9. Wait a minute, hold up.
Dinkins. And we have continuing coverage of the trial. We're streaming it live every day on WQAD.
This is my channel right here. Them in Law and Order. Hold on, y'all. Hold on, I gotta make sure we don't on Law and Crime. Hold on for a minute. Let me put it up there. We can't miss that. Oh, let's see. Hold on, y'all. I'm trying to pull it up. Pull up pretty Breasia. She a beautiful little girl. Okay, there you go, Law and Crime. So if Law and Crime, I got to go in there and check in with them too. So day 14 on my channel, on the channel I'm gonna use. Oh yeah. Okay, let me go. Law and Crime. Law. Okay, Crime Network. Okay, I got it right here for us. Okay, y'all, I got it up for us. I got it on for us. So we won't miss it. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Let me put it on here. I got to make sure y'all watching. Let me connect this. Okay, hold on. Now, which one I got it on? Here you go.
It's in his trunk.
It's in
The purple trunk. In that car that he drove.
the burgundy one, the Impala, remember?
He have it in the back of his trunk. It's a big knife.
Exactly.
Okay. And was the bleach in a container or what?
was in a container.
How'd you know it was bleach? You know about bleach?
I know how it smells.
There
Could
you
you
go.
smell it?
Yeah.
Did he open it up there with you?
Yo, there's a lot of men like
No.
hate women.
How could you smell it? Or did you not smell it?
I can't smell it because he was down there and I smelled it
He was down
by the fishing.
by the fishing. Was it by the river or by a creek?
Water.
Okay.
Mm-mm. You know what telling the truth is, right?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I don't like that. I don't
Well,
like
that's
that.
why-
Let me stop this. I don't like mama doing that. Don't do that, mama. Because everything that he done said thus far is equaling with what went on that stand. Now, why you saying that to him? It seemed more like those kids want people. See, you that making me feel like you don't believe nothing he say. You can't do children like that. Maybe he don't lie to her before, and she just want to make sure he telling the truth. But she shouldn't do that, y'all. Now that boy just sat there. Everything he said, it was said on the stand, and it was evidence on the stand, matches with his. Now she gonna say all of a sudden when he gets serious, and you know what I said about if you don't tell the truth. Man, these folks need to stop, man. Y'all got to believe y'all get that. I mean, the boy telling the truth. Stop doing that. Some moms got to stop doing that because it'll start making the child start lying even more.
Mm.
You get in trouble.
Yeah. So are you telling us the truth? We're really trying to find your sister.
Yeah, I'm not lying.
See?
Okay. I believe you. So after the sun rose this morning, your daddy took you fishing. He told you he was going fishing. And then after you saw him go down there, he said there were 6 people that helped him. You said something about $100. What happened with the $100?
He paid for it.
Who?
My dad.
Paid for what?
The fishing pole.
Did you ever see the fishing pole?
Y'all hear that man? That man told that boy. That man sitting here. You know what? See, he lying. They lied to the children. They don't want the children to lie to them. Now he gave to my. He don't told everything come out of Henry's mouth is $100 bill. He told the man in the ditch, "I give you $100 bill." He told that man about the fishing pole. It ain't no man with the fishing pole. I'm gonna give you $100 bill. What did he say to his son? I'm gonna give you $100 bill. Did he say that to him? But he didn't mention it. It's him and that $100 bill, honey. I don't even. Ooh, wait. Yeah, everything that boy's saying.
Where was that at?
It's down by a car place.
Down by a car place. Did Dad put the fishing pole in the car at all?
Yeah, it was in his trunk.
It's in his trunk too? Okay.
He didn't take the money, Terrell. He didn't take the money.
All right, just hang tight, okay? After you went there, your dad took you to Grandma's house. Is that right? Where'd he go?
My mom took me to the house. I could put the stuff.
You met Mom at McDonald's, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Did your daddy call your mom?
You ain't
while you were in
lying,
the car?
Natasha.
Yeah.
What did your daddy say to your mom?
All he told my mom was meet her
So did.
at McDonald's.
Okay. Do you know what time that was, Aisha?
See, y'all, the fishing, y'all, this is what we have to do over here. YouTube watches my channel, and I'm a reaction channel, so they on here with me, y'all. Believe me. Now, the fishing, like you said, Nika, is an alibi. He can't. That's why he went home. After he did what he did to reagent, he had to come get his son and pretend like he went fishing. So he blocked that in the little boy head that I'm about to go down here and go fishing. You sit in the car. Man, that man right there, he couldn't trip me. He couldn't trip my children. They wouldn't even,
808.
It was at 8:08.
What's the time of the phone call, yeah?
So
Sure
8:08.
was.
So probably like 8:13 to 8:15
Hold
because
on.
that's a little distance from like Checkers and McDonald's.
Which McDonald's are we talking?
Eastern.
Oh, yeah, that's good, ain't it? That's right.
All right. Is there anything else you remember?
Just that.
Just that. But you think that you'd be able to say, yeah, it was down around this area where he was fishing. Was there roads down there? There was roads? Okay. All right, just hang tight, okay?
You know what, Nika? You just said a magic word, alibi. That's a key word. Alibi. I never thought about an alibi, but I knew that he was. I knew who, after the little boy said something about fishing, I knew he wasn't supposed to be at fishing, but you hit it on the nose with the alibi. You did that. I'm gonna have to say that word right there took it in there. That's good. He had to have an alibi. That's why he had to came pick that boy up. See, he used everybody. Henry had a plan. Henry had a plan, just like he wanted it to go, and it went just like Henry. Henry didn't know. No, this is what it was. He didn't know that Brianna was gonna fight him the way she did. Brianna fought that man off of her. I guess y'all said how I know she fought him off of, because she's strong. She played basketball. She thinks she got muscles. She fought him. She kicked him. She did everything. I just think that she did it, y'all, and he couldn't. And she wouldn't die. And he did everything he did. That's why he shot in the head. That's why he kept shooting. She kept moving. Henry got scared because he thought Brianna wasn't gonna tell, but she told. Man, God got him. I ain't even worried about him.
Do you like those minis? I like them too.
My friend told me that my brother said that he had left my charger downstairs because like my phone had died and stuff. And I know
What kind of phone is that?
It's an iPhone.
Here, I have a plug. I'll plug it in.
Okay.
All right. Okay. I do have to lock the door back. Okay, come here.
That's right. So good.
All right. So I want to show you a couple pictures, okay? Because they're of different types of knives, okay? Do any of these look like what you saw?
It looked like this one, but this down here is purple.
It looked like this, but this was purple? Okay. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we are going to take you, Mom, and you, and we're gonna drive down to some areas, okay? And it's gonna be us four. I'm gonna put you in the front seat, okay? And we're gonna go looking to see where your daddy went fishing this morning, okay? Okay. I'm gonna go put these back and we'll get out of here, okay?
That was good. That was good. But I'm on DL. I'm gonna tell y'all, when you raise your children, when God do stuff for a different reason, y'all. That little boy right there saved his sister life. That's all I got to say. DL saved his sister life. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Ooh, he saved his sister life, boy. I like him. He's smart. It's a lot of smart children these days. Y'all know, they were saying at in Atlanta, one school was saying they had too many kids in the gifted program. They ain't got enough teachers. Well, people putting their kids, paying for their education now. That's what people doing now. So it's gonna be a lot of smart kids coming up. You know what I mean? These parents paying for their education and training them at home. That boy got some sense, boy. That right there, I like that. DL saved his sister life. Sure, I know a lot of I told y'all them little children up there tell me what to do up there at my crossing thing, and I do what they tell. Ooh, Lord have mercy. These children smart. These kids smart, honey. Woo. You got to. With them girls, shoot, my nerves so bad. I raised 3 girls. The 3 girls was first. Man, I was on Peanut and Needle all the way up. All the way up till they got grown. DL said he was barely. DL said he was barely fishing. He did say that. No, he took the hell all the way out there to make it seem like he was fishing. DL said he was very. That DL had me over here laughing. I said that little boy too smart for me. Woo, we had to stop being our kids' friends. Sure did, and be their parents. It could mean different between life and death. That's the truth. Oh, DL said he was barely fishing. These kids come out the wrong. Smart, baby. These kids smart these days. Look, y'all, what DL said, how many times y'all keep telling, he said, DL said, how many times y'all gonna keep asking me? I told y'all I was peeping. I saw him go down the steps. He said, y'all keep telling me what he didn't see. That boy smart. That boy smart. Whew. I like him. I like him. And he just told his mama, I am telling the truth. I love it. I love it. I love it. They need to put that boy on somebody. He need to be an actor. He needs to be an actor. He said, that boy right there. And Henry didn't get mad at him, but when a woman say something, when a woman say something, Henry get mad. Well, he said, boy, I like that little boy. I love that little boy. I love him. I love him. I'm sorry, y'all. I love that little baby. Whew. Man, they got to deal with him now. He did. He said I was peeking. No, like don't ask me that no more. Poor baby, he prayed on that baby, honey. That pretty girl. He didn't know she was gonna fight. He sure did. He spoke for his sister. He said, y'all asking me the same thing. Now y'all make me mad. Now he sure did. Oh Lord. She better watch what she do around him, cause he gonna tell it. Oh boy. And meant it too. I said what I said. Look, he did. I like him. I was a tell the tale too. I know some of y'all women with men would tell the tale too. My brother used to beat me up and tell him so much. He didn't know what to do. Make me sick. That little boy, I like him. I like them little smart talking children like that. He controlled his head. Yeah, Henry, he like that. He's very controlling. He thought he was gonna get away with it too. Yeah, he thought on the God, you know what? God works in a mysterious way, boy. I tell you the truth. He works in a mysterious way. Y'all ain't gotta believe him, but I believe it's a spirit up there. Yeah, I believe it's a spirit. Henry, thought he was gonna get away this time because he been getting away the whole time. That's what Henry thought. Henry thought he was gonna get away this time, but God showed him you ain't getting away this time. That's why that little boy didn't want to go by himself. He felt something. He felt something. Now the agent, now all three of them kids look out for each other. Her son, the tall one, Asian, and the baby. I should have seen DL on TikTok dancing. He was dancing like a little old man. I love them kids. I love them kids. Y'all should have seen him on TikTok. He was dancing like a little old man with a hat on his head. There you got me. My brother wouldn't tell him my dad. He told him my mama, and I told him my mama. About this. Oh Lord, this boy right there. I don't know what I'm gonna do with him. I was a telltale. Yeah. I bet he whopped Andrea all of them side her head. Poor Andrea, 30-something years old, look like she 50-something. She probably can start fixing herself up since she got rid of him. He had a choice. God gives us all choices. He do. He had a chance to change his ways. Exactly. God said, nope, not this time, Henry. I'm a telltale, y'all. I'm a telltale. I was a telltale in that house. My brother beat me up every time my mama leaves. I've been a telltale. But I like kids like that little boy right there. He got to be smart in school. I ain't lying. When my dad turned my mama come to get out the house, I be so scared. My brother be going upside my head for telling on him. And then I said, I'm gonna tell on you. Oh Lord, y'all remember them days? Don't try it. Tell everything. See, that's why we got to watch what we do. That's why I have to watch what I do around my grandchildren. I have to watch what I do and say. Now, these children too smart for me. Shoot, the babies don't even. The babies come out smart. The baby won't barbecue when they come out. Andrea look like a cold hard 60-year-old, and I look good to be 60. Ooh, and she only 39-year-old. Yeah, hard boy. You know that right there comes. You know she used to be on that stuff too. Now that marijuana, she only supposed to be smoking that. Y'all know what time it is. Ooh, boy, he probably does. He did. You know what? That's what the prosecutor said. What he did. She said. You know, we can't say the word on here, but that's why we say CM. She said it. Prosecutor said that he did that. And Henry didn't look no kind of way. So yeah, she 39. She's scared of Henry. When the prosecutor says anything you want to say, she said, where is Bree? Where is Bree? At first she said, when she asked him something, she said, yes, I'm glad I'm out of this relationship. That lady sounded like she was in prison, y'all. She sounded like he had her in the prison. They some dry sponges. Y'all know what? A man with no emotion is dangerous as hit. You know it? And he smiled when his son was talking. He said, ooh, I bet he said, ooh, he just like me. He don't take no stuff. Better get a blood test, cause it might not be your baby. Why you getting happy? Cause he a little smarter than you. She need to get a blood test. Now, why him and this baby right here look alike? Him and this baby right here look just like. They look just like. They look like they got the same daddy. So he might not get look. Yeah. I wonder what Henry goes. Yeah, they better come on before I go to work. Now they don't need to do what they did yesterday because I'll burn it up back there. Psychopath, that's what he is. I don't like them people like that, y'all. I'm sorry. It started now. Oh, hold on, y'all. Hold on. Let me turn this off.
Of a broken white plastic bottle. All right. And
Recordings just got better. Hey, it's Dana from STREAMYARD. I'm so excited to announce that local recordings are now
receipt.
Yes.
This day 12. Hold up, y'all. No. That's day 12. Let me see what's going on. That's day 12. Let me go. Hold on for a minute, y'all. Something ain't right. I got it on the wrong one. Hold on for a minute. No, I don't want to see that. No. No.
Lab item number that
Hold on for a minute. Hold on, yeah.
about the nature of the relationship that existed as far as the family dynamics between Mr. Dinkins, Aisha Langford, and the children. And I think what's very interesting to point out is conversations that occurred during the defendant's interview with Detective Obert that actually took on two different perspectives relative to the relationship that he shared with Aisha Langford during the initial stages of the interview, and then the relationship that he shared with Aisha Langford toward the latter stages of the interview. But at any rate, here's what we know. Aisha Langford had indicated that when she began dating Mr. Dinkins, she was of the impression that Mr. Dinkins was much younger than he was. He was an individual who had represented himself as being in his late 20s. At some point in time, by virtue of the relationship that she shared with him, she discovered that he was a much older man. She did indicate that he was very much involved in the children's lives during that initial stage of their relationship, but then time passed and that was not how you would characterize the dynamics that existed as far as Mr. Dinkins having contact with any of the three children on a regular basis, or being a father who was actively involved in DL's life. Aisha Langford, in helping us understand what that relationship was, very simply, she indicated that he was an individual that when he got a new car or a new girlfriend, he would show up to show off. That being said, let's go ahead and let's set the stage for what occurred during the summer of 2020. During the month of June, and at this point in time, Breasia is 10 years of age. Aisha had talked about how there had been a cookout that had taken place down by the river, I believe. She had attended the cookout with the children. That was her first opportunity to meet Andrea Culberson, who was Mr. Dinkins' girlfriend. That this was an event that Mr. Dinkins was present at, and I believe, but I would ask the courts to draw on its own recollection. I believe that he was the individual who was in charge of the cookout. At any rate, you have what would be a scenario where there's more recent contact that has occurred, where Mr. Dinkins then is a father figure that DL has had contact with in June. And then as of July 8th of 2020, as Ms. Langford indicated, when they were driving down the street with DL in the car, they happened to observe Mr. Dinkins pull into a quick shop. At that point in time, DL expressed an interest in being able to talk with his father and see his father, which prompted Ms. Langford to pull into the quick shop and have a conversation with Mr. Dinkins about how he needed to be more involved in his son's life and he needed to spend time with his son. As a result of that conversation, we know that the discussion opened up to Mr. Dinkins taking DL on July 9th so that he could spend some time with his son. And then throughout the course of July 9th, through telephone records, the court was able to see that there was various contacts that had occurred. But at any rate, we know that, I should say July 8th, let me correct that. On July 9th, that was the date that Mr. Dinkins picked DL up. Now, on July 9th, Aisha Langford was at work. She was working at Checkers there on East Locust Street. And so as a mother, her understanding of what was to transpire was very simply that Mr. Dinkins was going to respond over to her mother's house, pick up DL, and take his son, his biological son, and spend time with him. When Mr. Dinkins arrived there at the residence of Danita Gardner, who is the biological grandmother, the situation changed. And as far as the events that developed there at the Gardner residence, Ms. Gardner described how she had been in a back room when Mr. Dinkins got there, when he came inside the residence and he was going to be gathering up his sons to leave. The conversation developed into Breasia being interested and wanting to come along. Aisha Langford had described that Breasia and DL.
Are you interested in wholesaling or flipping abandoned homes but don't have time to drive for dollars? With Dash Leads, you can build an abandoned property lead list.
With him. And so the conversation developed wherein Mr. Dinkins had consented to Breasia coming along. But what was very interesting about that conversation is this. CS, the 13-year-old child and the teenager out of the group, wanted to be able to come along, and Mr. Dinkins would not allow him to accompany DL and his sister. Danita Gardner, during her testimony, spoke to that particular issue as she spoke to the fact that Aisha had no idea that Breasia actually ended up leaving her residence and accompanying Mr. Dinkins. But at any rate, that prompted a telephone call wherein Miss Gardner had advised her daughter that Breasia actually was going to go and spend time with Mr. Dinkins, her younger brother, and that once she got off work, she would need to pack up clothing to take over to the apartment that Mr. Dinkins shared with Andrea Culberson there at Jersey Meadows apartment, which we now know as apartment number 8. Aisha Langford, she gets off work. She goes to her mother's residence, and I think one of the things that is important for purposes of discussion is this. We know that Aisha and her children were in a transition period. They were in the process of having moved from a prior residence, and she had the children's items back boxed up. So when she went to her mother's residence, she got together clothing for Breasia. She got together clothing for DL, and within that clothing, she packed pajamas for both of the children to wear. Additionally, there was footwear that would have gone over to the residence. And then once she had accomplished that task, she drove over to the Jersey Meadow apartment complex to drop the clothing off. Now, before we go further into a discussion about those particular details, I think it's important to stop and talk about Breasia as a child. One of the things that the state had talked with Aisha Langford about was whether or not Jersey Meadows apartment complex was a location that this child was familiar with, that either child was familiar with. And she indicated that no, this was the first time that the children had ever been to this apartment complex. This was not an apartment complex that Breasia was familiar with. This was not an apartment complex that there were family members who lived at. This was not an apartment complex that Breasia had friends that she knew. And the reason that I bring that issue up is that I think it's very relevant to considering what happened in the middle of the night when Andrea Culberson woke up and found that Breasia was gone from the apartment. And I'll talk about that here in a moment. But I think that we've got to stop and we've got to consider these circumstances, because in conjunction with that conversation, one of the conversations that occurred with Aisha Langford on the stand is a conversation about the personality of Breasia. Was Breasia the type of child who was prone to waking up in the middle of the night and wandering off? Aisha described her children as being very sound sleepers. And the grandmother even spoke to that particular issue. And that once she went down, that child went down. But the other thing about Breasia was a rule follower. She was not the type of child who would just get up and leave on her own. But even more importantly, Breasia was not the type of child who's going to get up in the middle of the night and leave an apartment in an apartment complex that she's not familiar with and just to wander off. There was discussion during the course of the testimony, and I would ask the court to draw on its own recollection about this particular topic. But I believe both Aisha and Anita Gardner spoke to this, that Breasia was not a child who liked to go out in the dark. Now, Breasia was 10. You consider a 10-year-old child in an environment that they are not familiar with. And what's the likelihood that a child is going to get up in the middle of the night and just wander off? Beyond that, Breasia had some issues with her sight. Breasia had some issues with her hearing. But then even taking that a step further, the discussion that occurred was a description of her personality, because the state thought that this was very important. What type of child is Breasia? And the one thing that Aisha talked about, and even the grandmother had talked about, is that Breasia was a truth teller. She was a child that would tell the truth no matter what. And I think her grandmother's description was, she described her as a tattletale. And so if her older brother or her younger brother were doing things that she didn't think was appropriate, Breasia was a child who was going to tell. And I think that particular personality attribute is something that has significant bearing on the events that played out through the course of the night of July 10th and going to the early morning hours of July 10th of 2020. Taking that and setting that discussion aside, I want to jump over to the interview of Mr. Dinkins. When Detective Obert met with him at the Davenport Police Department after Mr. Dinkins arrived there sometime around noon. Now, in that opening interview, the court had the opportunity to observe the conversation Mr. Dinkins engaged in with Detective Obert, describing the family dynamic. Because at that point in time, essentially what we have, in terms of the perspective of law enforcement, is we have a child who is missing. And so the focus of that investigation is to try and gather any information that they could about family relationships and this child and a timeline of events so that the information could be utilized to develop a plan to go out and search areas where Breasia might possibly be. During the context of that discussion about the family dynamics, Henry Dinkins portrayed himself as a father figure to Breasia, how he considered her to be his daughter. And when you hear those types of statements being made in the interview, it creates its own impression. It creates the impression that we have a man who is very much a part of this family's life. It creates an impression that we have a man who is probably exercising regular visitation, is probably a figure within this family's life, on any day through any given week. And so when you create that impression, what it does is it lends itself to perception, all right? And here's what I mean by that. When you stop to think about the human experience and relationships that any of us have with individuals, depending upon the length of that relationship, depending upon the character of that relationship, the amount of contact that occurs in that relationship, that forms perceptions. So you may think that you know an individual, but if you have a lot of contact with that individual, that tends to create a sense of trust, you know, and we form perceptions about that. And that is the basis by which we determine whether or not we feel comfortable around this individual, whether or not we trust this individual, whether or not we trust this individual around our children and would feel comfortable with that individual spending time with our children. So Mr. Dinkins, when he's talking about, you know, how he perceives himself as a father figure to Breasia, we're left with the impression that this is an individual who is very much involved in Breasia's life. And that being said, this is an individual as a father figure who would never do anything to hurt that child. Mr. Dinkins talked about how close he was with Aisha and how they had a very good working relationship together as far as co-parenting. But then when you get to the latter stages of the interview, the complexion of those comments changes drastically. And he describes how they have a very contentious relationship, how they really don't speak at all. And that's in stark contrast with what he would have led Detective Obert to believe during the initial stages. And that particular statement is in keeping with what Aisha Langford testified to about the family dynamic. And I think if we understand what the family dynamic is, it really speaks to comfort levels having an adult male who really isn't a father figure to Breasia, getting up in the middle of the night and removing this child from the apartment without communicating with his girlfriend about their departure, not communicating with Aisha Langford about the departure, and not offering any explanation as to a legitimate reason for leaving the apartment complex. So that dynamic is very, very important. Now let's go back then and let's talk about how the events developed during the evening of July 9th. You know that once Aisha went back to her mother's, she packed up clothing for the children, and she went over to the apartment complex. Breasia came down, was very happy. You know, the evening was going very well. There was the puppy that had come with Aisha. Breasia was excited about that. And then there was the handoff of the clothing with the mother, you know, letting her child know that she loves her. Mom leaves. And as Aisha is driving west on 53rd, we know that the weather is such that it begins to rain. And it's a significant rain. So much so that Ms. Langford described how she had to pull over into a driveway over near with the amount of rain that was coming down. The state brought that testimony out because it becomes very significant to later findings that were made when the maroon Chevy Impala was lifted on that hoist so that the gas tank could be dropped to measure the amount of gasoline. That rain explains soil conditions that would have existed over in the area of Kunau Implement, where Breasia's remains were later recovered 6 months later. And it was because of that rain and even discussions with other law enforcement officers who talked about the weather conditions throughout the night of July 10th. And when I talk about throughout the night, I'm talking about after the midnight hour, transitioning from July 9th into July 10th and going to the morning hours of July 10th. So we've got that significant rainfall. We have a mother then who returns back to her own mother's apartment. Aisha described being very, very tired, and that essentially what she did was she just lay down on the couch and she fell asleep and she was dead to the world because she was so exhausted. Danita Gardner was asked about that same circumstance, and she also talked about how her daughter lay down on the couch and went to sleep. Now, as far as the plans for July 10th, Aisha was to work. Her typical scheduled shift, she would have gone in at 11, but because one of her coworkers hadn't come in to work, that prompted her manager to call her before the 8 o'clock hour and to ask her to come in because he needed somebody there to cover for that coworker who had called in. And so Aisha left her mother's residence, had gone into work. As far as any contact that had occurred between Aisha and her children, we know the last point of direct contact was when she dropped the clothing off to Aisha. And then through the phone records, we know that Bree had been utilizing Mr. Dinkins' phone because neither child had cell phones that would have gone to that apartment. And there was the communications where there were a call or two, I don't remember right now, but the records will speak to that. Aisha was asleep, she didn't answer that, but then there was the text message that came through about something like, "Good night, Mama, I love you." And then Aisha responding back later in the evening that she loved, the two of the children and wishing them a good night. So the mother goes to sleep. Everything seemed fine. There would be no reason for concern or worry. What happens then? Let's talk about the dynamics of what's occurring from the perspective of DL, Breasia, Mr. Dinkins, and Andrea Culberson. So when Mr. Dinkins picked the children up, we know that he went over to the 700 block of Taylor Street. That's one of the things that the officers had talked about. Where he went to a relative's house, Vince Howard. The children hung out there with a couple of little girls. There were the adult male figures that were there. The children were playing video games. And then after that visit concluded, the three subjects, Mr. Dinkins, Breasia, and DL, went over to Andrea Culberson's apartment. That's the apartment that Mr. Dinkins shared with Andrea Culberson. Now, I want to talk about the visit to Taylor Street, and here's why. You know, when we stop and consider the testimony that came out through the course of this trial, as far as individuals who could provide statements about what happened during the middle of the night of July 10th at apartment number 8 there at the Jersey Meadow apartment complex, we have an 8-year-old child, and then we have Andrea Culberson, the adult. There's been a lot of discussion, about a child who's 8 years old and their ability to be able to recollect events, to be able to sequence those events, to be able to understand even what's going on. And during the course of interviews that you conduct of an 8-year-old, why is it that if you do an initial sit down with a child provides some details without more details? The point that the state is going to make about DL is this: everything that child described happening in his interviews formed the investigative construct for steps taken by officers of the Davenport Police Department in the investigation that they conducted. So, Mr. Dinkins, in his interview, after he picks up the children, describes having gone over to Vince Howard's house where the children played video games. That is absolutely consistent with what DL said. DL didn't know his father's friend's name, but he described going over to this house and spending time. Through the course of the investigation, one of the things that was talked about through the testimony, I believe, of Detective Obert, but I will ask the court to draw on its own recollection about this particular topic, that was an issue that was followed up by law enforcement. and Detective Overt did speak to this because Detective Overt and Detective Ann Siebert went over to Vince Howard's house on Taylor Street. Detective Siebert was that direct point of contact. Detective Overt was following some issues down, but they verified that yes, the children were there at the Howard residence, as Mr. Dinkins described and as DL described. So then, when we go to the apartment complex, let's do the comparison between what Andrea Culberson describes happening and what DL describes what's happening. At no point in time is there ever any type of divergence in what it is that both parties relate. Andrea, we know, works for AT&T. Andrea works from home, and Andrea still was working her shift and didn't get off until 7-something in the evening. Andrea has her workstation set up in the bedroom. She described how Briasia was fascinated by the work that she was doing and wanted to learn. So the two spent some time, bonding in that respect. And that was even something that Briasia was very excited to share with her mother. I bring that up because we're looking at issues of credibility throughout all of the testimony that was offered. And the one point that the state would definitely make is you see no discrepancies in testimony or statements provided by DL or in testimony or statements offered by Andrea Culberson, and even like a small tangential issue like that relative to Aisha Langford and what she described happening. So the children are there in the apartment. We know the apartment is very small. We know that it is an upper level apartment that has its own staircase dedicated to the apartment itself. So you come in that door, you go up over to your left, that's the main living area. We know it's just kind of an open area where we've got the living room, kitchen combination. And then we know if you were standing at the top of the staircase and you were looking at the wall ahead of you, basically, if you go just a little bit further up toward the living room, kitchen area, we've got that door that leads into the only bedroom that's there in that apartment. And interestingly enough about that, you have to access that bedroom to go to the bathroom. And the other point of interest is this. The bedroom window itself actually faces out onto the parking lot. So the court had the ability to see the orientation of how you would access apartment number 8. In order to get to apartment number 8, you had to go along the east side of the property, which essentially lies to the west of Costco. So it's back along that wooded line that separates the property of Costco to the back of Jersey Meadows. That window in the bedroom looks out onto the parking lot, and the court certainly understands the import of that. Throughout the night, Mr. Dinkins agrees with this, Andrea agrees with this, DL talks about this. DL's playing video games in the living room. Briasia is in the bedroom, and she's playing her own video game. DL, as an 8-year-old child, brings that issue up because he is there to spend time with his father. But he notes his father is spending time in the bedroom with Briasia as she's playing a video game. And Andrea Culberson gives us a little bit more perspective because she talks about how the three of them are sitting on the bed and they're playing some type of game where they're passing back and forth. But you have a father who's supposed to be spending time with his son, and he makes the choice to spend time in the bedroom with this 10-year-old little girl. And what we saw during the interview of DL, that bothered him and it made him mad because his father was supposed to be spending time with him, but his father was making the choice to spend time with his sister. At any rate, we know that at some point during the course of the evening, the children take the showers. There's complete agreement on that particular topic. We know that they have dinner. We know that rather than the children dressing in the pajamas that Aisha had brought over, Mr. Dinkins selected large white t-shirts for the two children to wear. Now, why? Mr. Dinkins' t-shirt is a 4XL. Why would you want to put a 4XL on a 10-year-old child? It makes no sense. But when you think about that article of clothing, men's white t-shirts are very common articles of clothing. And knowing what occurred to Briasia, if Briasia were dressed in her own clothing, and we know that those clothes were later returned to Aisha, who went through those clothing, that bag of clothing, actually ended up being 2 bags of clothing, when they returned, she went through that clothing to try and identify what articles of clothing were missing, and there wasn't any missing. If Briasia had been dressed in her own little clothes, and Aisha did that inventory, she could say to law enforcement, these articles of clothing didn't come back. But Briasia is dressed in this white large t-shirt and her little black shorts and her little sports bra. So, DL and Andrea Culberson, again, are absolutely consistent on what happened. Briasia goes to bed first. Andrea lays down on that air mattress in the living room where she and Mr. Dinkins were to sleep. She goes down sometime around 11 o'clock. She hears Mr. Dinkins say to DL, you've got till a little after 12 to finish playing that video game, and you're going down to bed. DL indicates that his father's the third to go to sleep, and that he is the fourth individual to go to sleep. DL and Andrea both describe DL sleeping at the foot of the bed. And Briasia is up toward the top of the bed. Now, why do I even focus on that detail? Because, again, we're looking at an 8-year-old child who is providing information about activities. And everything that that child describes is in complete agreement with what is described by the adult in that apartment complex. All right, so then the question very simply is this. What happened after everyone went to sleep? We know definitively what happened in that apartment at 3 o'clock. We know that Andrea woke up to go to the bathroom. She noted Henry Dinkins wasn't there. She walks into the bedroom. She doesn't have her glasses on, but Briasia is not up there on the right side of the bed. DL is still down at the base of the bed, asleep. Andrea goes to the bathroom, thinks, let me get my glasses on to make sure that I'm seeing what I'm seeing. She puts her glasses on. Briasia's not there. She checks throughout the apartment. Briasia's not there. Andrea Culberson is very clear, at no point in time did Mr. Dinkins ever wake her up and indicate that he was going to be leaving that apartment with Briasia, that there was a potential medical emergency, that he had to take her to the hospital, that maybe the child was missing her mother and wanted to go home. There were no communications whatsoever. Andrea Culberson did not feel comfortable at all with her discovery. Now, Andrea Culberson testified she'd been involved in a relationship with Mr. Dinkins for 6 years, and she is not feeling comfortable at all. She feels so uncomfortable. She tells in her or describes for the court in her testimony that she didn't even want to think about the possibilities of why Mr. Dinkins was gone and why Briasia was gone. But she's so unsettled, rather than going to bed, she chooses to sit up in the living room in the dark to wait for Mr. Dinkins' return. She tried reaching out to contact him, but found that his cell phone was there in the apartment. She talked about it charging, but then the question was also asked, is Mr. Dinkins the type of individual that goes around without his phone? And she said, no, he's not. Recognizing that the phone was plugged into a charger, this takes us to the photographs of the maroon Chevy Impala. And the court has had the opportunity to observe photographs that has that white aux cord and another cord that could be used for charging cell phones. But that phone is there in the apartment, and the state asserts that that is significant. Why? Because cell phones are devices that document the location of where that phone has traveled to. If an individual is abducting a child from an apartment complex, the last thing that you want is a digital device on your person to document locations that you are going, because that provides leads to law enforcement, and those leads then can be utilized to determine what had occurred. So the phone's there in the apartment. Aisha Langford is a very definitive time of 3:30, based on the clock on her desk. Mr. Dinkins very quietly unlocks the door and very quietly comes up the stairs into the apartment in such a way so as not to awake anyone. Mr. Dinkins, of course, was not anticipating that Andrea Culberson would be up and would have discovered that both he and Briasia were gone from the apartment. Now, I'm going to step outside this conversation. I want to take us to the time frame of 8:55 in the morning out of the Jersey Meadow apartment complex, when Officer Burkle had responded to that location. In Mr. Dinkins' conversations with Officer Burkle, he created the impression that he wasn't familiar with this apartment complex and didn't even live there. And if the court will go back and reflect to the video footage that was collected from Officer Burkle's body-worn camera, Officer Burkle had said, I know this sounds strange, but oftentimes when children come up missing, if law enforcement goes in and we do a search, we end up finding the children in closets or under the beds. Would you mind if I went into the apartment and conducted a search? What was Mr. Dinkins' response? We've already searched the area. Officer Burkle persists. So Henry Dinkins then goes over to apartment 8, and rather than walking into that apartment, where he clearly lives as described by Andrea Culberson, and he even has a closet that contains only his clothing, he knocks there at the door as if he would simply be a guest, and he would have to wait for the tenant of that apartment to come down and answer the door. Miss Culberson comes down the stairs. Officer Burkle's right there at that front door. He has the conversation with Miss Culberson about being able to go in and search, and explained, he had lost his own children like a child the week before. She's very hesitant. She looks out the door. Mr. Dinkins isn't right there by Officer Burkle. He's several feet down the sidewalk near the corner of the building. Miss Culberson looks out and says, "Is it okay with him?" As if she's got to get permission. And Officer Burkle says yes. And then she says, well, the apartment's a mess. The court had an opportunity to see the apartment. Quite honestly, it wasn't a mess. And then Officer Burkle goes out. Briasia's not there, but Henry Dinkins leaves the apartment complex and nobody can find him. All right? So let's go back into the equation of the discussion that we had. Andrea makes it known to Mr. Dinkins that she is awake and she knows he's gone and she knows Briasia's gone. Mr. Dinkins is not responding in any way to give information to her about what is going on. He goes into the bedroom to his closet and he digs in the closet. The court's been able to see the relationship of the bed to the closet on what would be the right side of that bed. Andrea Culberson describes going to the window, looking out onto the parking lot, and there the maroon Chevy Impala is parked. Briasia is standing right next to the passenger side of that vehicle. There's no question in her mind that it's Briasia. She talked about how she has very distinctive hair, but also she talked about how the child had been dressed in this white big t-shirt of Mr. Dinkins. Briasia's there. She can't see what Mr. Dinkins is getting out of his closet, but he puts it away in his clothing in such a way that she doesn't know what he's gotten out of the closet. Now, to take the court's attention back to testimony that she had offered here in court, and also testimony that DL had offered here in court, they both talked about how he had been wearing a black shirt. I throw that out because that is consistent with what Jared Brink had testified to when he had the contact with that black male subject over there on Highway 61, and then when he drove him over to the area of 270th Avenue. I also bring that up for this reason. There was much ado being made about the fact that Mr. Dinkins was wearing that white t-shirt, a man's undershirt that had no sleeves on it, when we see him going into the quick shop and leaving. But then Mr. Brink is describing the black male subject having on some type of black shirt. The state went to photographs taken of articles removed from that vehicle. What do we see? We see an article of black clothing that had been taken out of the front passenger compartment. We also see a box of clothing in the rear portion of that trunk. To be able to pull an article of clothing out, put it on, take it off, is something that's very easy to do. But I bring that up because I think it's very important to mention before the state forgets that. So then, when Mr. Dinkins goes down that staircase, Andrea Culberson looks out, the Impala's gone, Mr. Dinkins gone, and Briasia's gone. She was asked specifically when she looked out and saw Briasia there, did you see any activity in the parking lot? None. Any individuals around? None. Those questions were asked because the assertion being from defense is that if Andrea did not see Mr. Dinkins get into that Impala, if Andrea did not see Briasia get into that Impala, then there's no evidence to show that Briasia was with Henry Dinkins, and the state absolutely disagrees with that. That sequence of events and the observations of Andrea Culberson absolutely answers that question. Mr. Dinkins left Jersey Meadow apartment complex with Briasia in the car, and we know that Briasia is still alive at 3:30. But what has happened before 3:30 and before Andrea's discovery that Briasia is missing? DL gives us a perspective. He talks about being asleep. He talks about how he's kicked very hard by his sister. There was a discussion about, is this simply a sibling who's rolling around, and maybe they touched. No, this was different. This hurt. And then DL, while he didn't recollect that during his testimony, when he was interviewed on June 10th, described noticing his sister missing, hearing his father's voice, peeking out the bedroom, and seeing his father go down those stairs with Briasia and talking with her about cars. An interesting point that the child brings up when Aisha Langford says that Mr. Dinkins only comes around when he gets a new car or he gets a new girlfriend. So, what's happened between or before 3 a.m.? So between the time that everybody's gone down to bed, with DL being the last individual in that house to fall asleep, what has happened between that time frame and 3 o'clock when Andrea makes the discovery? Now, before I talk about this, I've got a demonstrative exhibit that actually is a collection of still images that were a part of exhibits the state has introduced. But Your Honor, just for purposes of perspective, let's go back down and let's just discuss the area of Schmidt Road and Credit Island if we can. We know that River Drive is our southernmost east-west street. And we know that the area that we're going to be talking about where Mr. Dinkins' RV is parked and Credit Island, that's in an area of town that's more industrial in nature. And so during this time of night, in the middle of the night, there's not a lot of activity there, okay? So we know that Credit Island is on the south side of River Drive. We know that the southernmost point will be the Mississippi River that runs east and west along that area. We know that Schmidt Road, if you come out of Credit Island and you turn right or travel east, Schmidt Road essentially is about 400 meters. So the distance of one lap around the track. And I think that that was a very good way of describing it so that the court would understand the closeness of both entry points so that the court will understand it takes very little time to travel from Schmidt Road to enter onto Credit Island. Now, Schmidt Road, we know, is a north-south street. At the southernmost point, this is where you turn onto River Drive. It's not a very long street because then at its northern point, it turns onto Rockingham, which is our east-west street. We know if we go further east, it turns into Second. Hy-Vee is our most western point on Rockingham that has video surveillance feed that gives us information about what happened after the trip to Clinton that morning. Then we know that Purina is a factory that is there at the corner of Rockingham and Schmidt Road. It lies on the eastern side of Rockingham and Schmidt. We know if you go from north to south on the east side, we've got Purina. We've got 743 Schmidt Road. That is that area where individuals can store their vehicles. We know that that's where Mr. Dinkins' RV was stored. And then we know then Jack's Brake and Alignment is the southernmost building there. We've got video surveillance equipment on Jack's Brake and Alignment, and this is a constant feed. So it never stops. We know at Hy-Vee it's a constant feed. We know at Purina it's a constant feed. But then to the east of both 743 Schmidt and Jack's Brake and Alignment, we have Devon Self-Storage. We've got cameras affixed to this building, but they're only motion activated. All right. So those are our variables that we're working with. And then we know over here on River Drive, just to the west of Credit Island, if you come out of Credit Island and you look across the street, if you go down there and you ride your bike, you know, and you're familiar with the bike path down there, there's the bait shop. And then a couple of houses over is Sarah Lowe's residence. Her video surveillance equipment is affixed to the front of the house. And so then we know that in terms of the angle of that camera feed, it shows us that entry point onto Credit Island. So that sets our perspective there, and we understand the relationship of the cameras and activity and how that activity would have been picked up. All right, let's go to the state's first demonstrative exhibit. Now, as we read this, Your Honor, we're going to read from left to right. At 2:13 a.m., we see a vehicle, and it's a sedan, it's not a pickup, it's not a van, it's not an RV. We see a passenger vehicle traveling north on Schmidt Road. Let's stop and think about this. So what would be the most direct route of travel down to River Drive? If you leave that apartment complex, you travel down 53rd, heading west. You get on I-74, heading south. You exit on River Drive, heading west, and that will take you out to the area of Schmidt Road and Credit Island. So it makes sense that that vehicle is heading north because it's turned from River Drive heading north. That is at 2:13 a.m. I would ask the court to pay attention to the shape of what we see, the outline or the contours of this particular vehicle. Because when you stop and consider those contours and the shape, and you look at what we've seen about that vehicle, when we've seen it during the daylight hours, and how it seems like it just kind of slopes down a little bit toward the front, and maybe there's a bit of an elevation toward the rear, this is exactly consistent with that. So that vehicle is heading north at 2:13 a.m. Now, at Devon Self-Storage, we see Mr. Dinkins' RV right here. And we see a vehicle departing the lot at 2:29. So between 2:13 and 2:29, we're talking about a time frame of 60 minutes roughly. Okay? Then we go down and we see that vehicle south on Schmidt Road, and look at the shape of the vehicle. It is similar. That's at 2:30. Then the vehicle turns around at 2:31 going back north. So something is happening that makes that vehicle turn around within a time frame of a minute. So at 2:31, it's going back north on Schmidt Road. Then we have the camera at Devon Self-Storage motion activated, and we can see the vehicle now leaving the area of Mr. Dinkins' motorhome at 2:49. This particular video feed, when the court had the ability to observe it up on the screen, we got a better perspective of what type of vehicle was leaving that lot, and it was consistent with a passenger vehicle. So 2:49, it's leaving, then we've got it south on Schmidt Road at 2:50. So between 2:31 and 2:49, we're talking about 18 minutes. 18 minutes back in that area, plus an additional 16 minutes. So what's that giving us? That's giving us 34 minutes. What is going on in this RV over the course of 34 minutes? The court knows that this particular RV is not equipped for anybody to live there. There was no food in the refrigerator. There is no way to hook that RV up to water or anything at all. There certainly were personal items that were being stored there. There's a bed there that has bedding on it. There's clothing and shoes and things like that. And this is a location that is attributable to being Mr. Dinkins' RV. But then, when it leaves south on Schmidt Road, it goes on to Credit Island, entering Credit Island at 2:51, and then leaving Credit Island at 2:53. All right. That was a topic of discussion that came up with Detective Obert. And what was going on in this area of town. And I would ask the court to draw on its own recollection about how they were focusing on any type of cell activity to determine whether or not there was activity in that area with other individuals. And there was. So, there's two photographs that I want to point out to the court. The top photograph is the perspective of the camera angle when law enforcement got in with a search warrant, where we can see that bed, and then right there on a wooden box, we have a cleaning product, and as the court can see, that cleaning product has bleach within it. This trial has spoken very extensively about the import of bleach. Bleach destroys DNA. The state finds it very significant that you've got a cleaning product right there by that bed. And the state finds it very significant that relative to all of the articles of evidence that were sent to the FBI laboratory in Quantico, or even the DCI laboratory, no DNA on anything. It was actually clean. Isn't that what we would expect to find if an individual has the knowledge base to recognize the import of bleach and its ability to kill DNA? And we have that there, but we also have that as a product that Mr. Dinkins has purchased a little after 7 a.m. in Clinton. The state also points out this machete that was above the microwave. If the court looks very closely at those photographs, one of the things that the child talked about is how his father had wiped that machete down with a rag. The court can see the fibers within this machete. We had our analyst come in from Quantico who testified to that, and she did indicate, Linda Otterstatter, I believe it was, she did indicate that there were fibers within that. It didn't match a white and pink and I think purple striped cloth that was in the console of the Impala, and it didn't match that white washcloth that went back with the children's clothing. But through the testimony, we know that there was a white washcloth at Andrea's that had been used to clean off Briace's feet because they'd gotten muddy, all right? And so it didn't match. But the point being, the child had described it being wiped down, and he talked about there being bleach. Now, moving beyond that, so this is all the activity that happens even before Mr. Dinkins returns to apartment 8. This evidence here speaks to what Mr. Dinkins' intent was. For him to take that 10-year-old child from this apartment in the middle of the night and take her over to this area of town to an RV speaks to his intent. And the state asserts, when you consider these circumstances and you consider the purchase of bleach and the use of bleach, this child was sexually assaulted in this area. But then it became very clear to Mr. Dinkins that there was going to be no way for him to control this child. And so therefore, it forced him to take further action, which was the murder in the Briace trail. And so his returning to the apartment complex at 3:30, the item that he got, the state asserts, is a gun. Now, let's go ahead and let's talk about the sequence of events from 3 a.m. to 3:45 a.m., which really speak to the issue of his intent, his premeditation, and the fact that he was going to deliberately and willfully murder this child. After 3:30 a.m., and 3:30 a.m. is measured by the clock in Andrea's apartment. We know that he went to the quick shop on 53rd Street. The counters are 2 minutes off. So we see, based on its date of 7/10/2020, that Impala's entering at 3:30. It's actually 3:32 a.m. in the morning. We see Mr. Dinkins pull up to the gas pump. As the court can see, the dark tint on those windows precludes anyone from being able to look into the vehicle to see what was going on. But when he gets out of the car and he walks into the store, he's got that lanyard with his keys on him. He goes into the store, he makes the purchases. One of the things that is noted through testimony is the number of times that he kept looking out to that car. Now, if you pull up to a gas pump in the middle of the night, and you have concerns about someone, potentially getting in your car and stealing it and leaving it, well, there's 2 ways to deal with that. You lock it. And in this particular case, we know that Mr. Dinkins didn't leave his keys in the car because we've got that lanyard with him and those keys. He's gone in, he looks out the car. It's very clear that he's very interested in that vehicle. And then when he goes to the pump, he gets in the car after he starts pumping gas, and he gets out after it's concluded. Why did Mr. Dinkins need to fill up with a full tank of gas? The receipt was introduced. He purchased $34 worth of gas. What's a very important point to discuss here at this juncture is the fact that he presented a $100 bill. And then he got $40-some back. I'm not quite sure what that figure is. I bring that up because then we need to go full circle back to his interview with Detective Obert. When he was asked by Detective Obert what his activities consisted during the middle of the night of July 10th, he acknowledged that he left the apartment 3 times. So would have left and came back. He said that he went over to Vince Howard's house, knocked on the door, nobody was there, he came back. Then he indicated that he wasn't sure, wouldn't give us a time frame, but he was out of money. He only had a couple of dollars, and he may have gone over to his RV to get some money. Clearly, he didn't need money because he was able to present a $100 bill there at the quick shop, and he still had 40-some dollars after he made the purchases in addition to the gas. And then he was able to make the purchase there at the Walmart in Clinton after 7 a.m. of over $8. But then I would also note that even when Jared Brink pulled him out, he was offering him $100. So that's very relevant because it goes to the issue of credibility. The other issue I think that really falls within the context of this discussion is the fact that Mr. Dinkins will never, ever provide a timeline for anything that he did. He's given Google Maps to draw locations where he said that he has gone, bearing in mind his first telephone call to Aisha Langford was this: I just woke up and Briasia's gone. We know that the text came in at 8:08 a.m. Aisha was at work. She just checked in. She returns the call, and then we've got a series of calls after that where his first representation is, I just woke up and Briasia's gone. That certainly is not in accord with what all of the other witnesses have testified to. At any rate, we know he leaves at 3:38 a.m., and then a particular import is mile marker 124. At 3:44 and again at 3:45, when Detective Obert looked at the video surveillance feed from the DOT, it showed a sedan passing. Now we can't see what it is, but those variables are very important, particularly when we go to what happened with Jared Brink. And then we throw those time variables into the time variable of what was determined up in the area. So, what definitively ties Mr. Dinkins to the area of Kunal Implement during the early morning hours of July 10th, where Briasia's remains were located? The court has heard deposition testimony, and then the court had the opportunity to watch the video surveillance, or not the video surveillance, the interview of Jared Brink. Jared Brink, we know, lives somewhere further north and to the east of Kunal Implement. We know that Jared Brink works at Linwood Mining here in Scott County. So essentially what he's got to do is he's got to travel from Clinton County. The most direct route would quite honestly the I-80 down along the 280 to get off the Mary River Drive so that you could go to Buffalo where Linwood Mining is at. He describes his morning routine. He gets up, he gets dressed, he gets his cup of coffee, he gets on the road, and he heads out. Mr. Brink had indicated that when he was on Highway 61, and this is where we have a plot pointed, he was traveling south, and a black male waved him down and was standing along the side of the road. This black male subject he described as wearing a dark shirt. Interestingly enough, he describes the black male as being more muscular, but when he saw the back image of Mr. Dinkins leaving the quick shop, he only had on that t-shirt that completely exposed his arms and showed a form-fitting t-shirt on his body. He indicated that this individual was more muscular in terms of what he could see. He described him wearing a black hat, which is exactly what DL described and in his interview about how his father had a do-rag on and how he had a cap on. He described this individual as having jewelry on. That's exactly what DL described his father wearing when we got to see his interviews yesterday. But even more importantly, he described the subject wearing a white denim type of short that had some type of screen imprint on it, and he remembers there being blue. And when he was shown the rear image of Mr. Dinkins leaving the quick shop, he said, those are the shorts. Jared Brink also described this black male subject as having a mole on the right side of his nose, and the court had the opportunity to see the press release that the Davenport Police Department had prepared and had put out. And sure enough, what do we have? we have Mr. Dinkins with that mole right beside his nose. At any rate, he stopped there. They go over to the area of 270th Avenue, and the vehicle is perpendicular across 270th Avenue, as if it tried doing a three-point turn, but the rear wheels went off the shoulder, which the court knows is a steep incline, to the west, and it got stuck. And so he had to pull the vehicle out. The vehicle that he describes as a maroon Chevy Impala, he describes the interior as being tan. He thought it was leather. But at any rate, he also described it being clean and there being that white ox cork. That's an exact match to what we have in this particular case, Your Honor. Everything that he described matched Henry Dinkins to a T. And then we know based on his cell phone pinging, and then I'm going to have the court look up there because I can't tell it. Maybe you can see it on the screen. But I think his phone, Mr. Brink's cell phone, was hitting off that cell phone tower in the area of Kunal Implement, directionally toward the area of Kunal Implement at 4:27 a.m. in the morning. So we've got the cell phone hitting there. We've got the area that is shown, number one, up here, where that contact occurred on Highway 61. When we go to the map of 270th Avenue, where the vehicle was perpendicular across the road, that's the location that Mr. Brink had noted when he was shown those maps by Detective Sean Johnson. And then you take that and you overlay it with the locations that Special Agent McMillan had collected soil samples from after Briacia's body was recovered, and the GPS coordinates. We know of the 10 soil samples, 3 of those were inclusive of soil samples on Mr. Dinkins' vehicle. There were a total of 4 soil samples taken from the undercarriage. 3 toward the rear, those were matches. 1 toward the driver's side, toward the front of the vehicle, which was not a match. That is conclusive. Then we go back to the Impala, and let's talk about the Impala. When Mr. Dinkins presented himself to the Davenport Police Department, there's any number of areas that you could park right there in front of the department and walk in. When he was being interviewed by Detective Obert, he initially presents himself as having been dropped off and that his vehicle was mobile and that a friend had it, but didn't want to give any information about who that friend was. Then Detective Obert discerned that maybe he might have some issues with his license, and that might be why he's reluctant. He says, I'm not concerned about that at all. You know, the whole thing is about finding Briacia. And Mr. Dinkins still is not willing to give information about where that vehicle is at. By virtue of the bolo that went out, patrol officers received that information over their MDTs. Officer Pojar read that bolo and happened to observe the maroon Chevy Impala parked a block down and to the north, there on Main. And then the vehicle was seized and brought to the Davenport Police Department. Jill Foster took photographs of that vehicle, and this was a topic of conversation that Ms. Foster had talked about when we went around the vehicle. There were areas on the vehicle to show that there was the spray of muddy dirt on the vehicle. And you see it along the passenger side here in those areas. The other thing that's interesting about this, and the state's going to bring this back full circle, not only do we have soil around that vehicle that's consistent with it being up in this area, but then the other thing is the child had described how there had been a machete in the trunk of the vehicle. And one of the things that Sergeant Pfeiffer had talked about when they started to remove the remains from Briacia's skeleton, or remove the branches from Briacia's skeletal remains, he noted that it looked like a knife had been used to cut branches to lay over the top of her body. And so the state throws that in there because that gap is another connection to this area up here in the area of Kunal Implement. As for additional identifiers, Mr. Brink picked out a white ox for it. That's exactly what was inside that vehicle when it was seized. Mr. Brink, when shown these photographs or this photograph of Mr. Dinkins leaving the quick shop, it's an exact match. And of course, we've got the maroon Chevy Impala that he described being shown by Joseph Adams after his wife had sent him the image. We picked out the maroon Chevy Impala, and then we see the photograph of Mr. Dinkins there with the mole on the right side of his face. This takes us to the last portion of the story. And the conduct of Mr. Dinkins speaks about volumes about his involvement in the murder of Breasia. We know sometime after sunrise, according to Detective Hamas's testimony, when she was doing the interview, she'd asked, the cellular device, what time the sun rose. And I think it was like maybe at about 5:38 on June 10th or July 10th. We know that Mr. Dinkins returned to the apartment sometime during the early morning hours. Sometime after sunrise, Andrea Culberson wasn't able to give us that time. But then we know that when he came up, he got DL, he left, he gathered up the children's clothing, which is very interesting. And then he goes to leave without his phone. Andrea Culberson insists that he takes his phone. So he takes it, leaves with the child. She discovers that there's another bag with the children's clothing. She calls him. He comes back. We see his movement through the video surveillance on the feeds. We see that vehicle going past the Quick Start on 53rd. And this is before the 6 o'clock hour. We see it going east on Eastern by virtue of the camera at Judson Court that faces out on Eastern. Through the cellular data that was provided to us through Special Aaron, we know that he traveled east on Eastern, back, or north on Eastern, I'm sorry, Your Honor, back east on Veterans Memorial, back south on Jersey Ridge, back to the apartment complex, which is consistent with him picking up the clothes, and then leaving. Then he goes back north on Jersey, and then we've got him at mile marker 124. I will ask the court to rely on its own recollection, but I think that was about 6:11 a.m. We know then that he went to the Walmart in Clinton where he purchased the Clorox, because DL tells us that his father had his cell phone in the cup holder and the battery had been removed. And when his father went into the store, and we know he entered at 7:04 a.m., that he took the battery, put it in to play a video game. When he saw his father coming out, he removed it so he wouldn't get in trouble. It was that event that allowed us to develop what happened out in Clinton. We know then, by virtue of the canvassing and looking for video feed, we saw him coming past Posh Farms, past First State Central Bank, going into Walmart. We see him going back past Central State Bank and then back along mile marker 124. We know he purchased Clorox. DL described how his father went to two wooded areas. And the one wooded area that he described as there being woods, and then there was a road down and you could see a pond. That's Kunow implement. He described his father getting out of the car, and he described his father having a knife and having wiped it off, and he knew it was Clorox because he could smell the odor of Clorox. When we look at the travel times, if you drove past mile marker 124 and went the and go past Posh Farms. On the trip out, it was 32 minutes. On the trip back, it was 37 minutes. 15 more minutes on the trip back. And what do we have? When Breasia's remains are recovered, We've got those clothing articles that are recovered, the shorts, the t-shirt, and the little bra. The court had the ability to see those articles of clothing as they were pulled out by Sergeant Pfeiffer. Then the court had the ability to be able to see photographs, but most importantly, the photograph that came from the state medical examiner's office. When you look at those black shorts, and this is what Sergeant Pfeiffer had talked about, there was discoloration in the fabric. And we could very clearly see it based on what the lighting conditions were when that photograph was taken at the state medical examiner's office. And you can see that discoloration. Very significant. If you have a child who has been sexually assaulted, you have the perpetrator's DNA that's present on that child's body. Bleach will kill that DNA. Criminalist Stepansky had testified that they had made a judgment call about how they were going to proceed as it relates to the articles of clothing to see if there was bleach. So they noted discoloration on that white t-shirt. They took cuttings, and recognizing that we've got variables that are working against us. Riaja's been out in the elements for a significant period of time. Her body has decomposed. The clothing has been out there in the sun, the wind, the rain, the snow. All of that compromises DNA. But when he went through the series of tests, he noted that Clorox has 4 specific elements. Those 4 elements were noted when the analysis was done. And he described how he used water to try and pull things out of that fabric, to do a pH test with Clorox being basic at 10. This came in at a 7. But he said, bear in mind, water will dilute the pH. And then Clorox in a color test will test a dark blue. This came back as a light blue, but bearing in mind, liquid will dilute the color. He couldn't make a conclusive determination, but the findings in it with everything else that had happened and the defendant's activities in purchasing bleach. And that tells us everything about what was occurring. Mr. Dinkins is very savvy. He knew exactly what it is that he needed to do to destroy the evidence, and steps were taken to do that. And that is conclusively shown by lab report after lab report after lab report that ended up with negative findings. The only control was the issue of the soil samples underneath his vehicle that ties his vehicle to that area. I think as far as the last points that I would make, and I'm just thinking about different testimony that was offered, I think at this juncture, really what it comes down to is this: what caused Riaja's death? We heard testimony that she was shot through her left mandible. It traveled through her C3 and C4 out the back of her neck, from front on the right side of her body to left, and that's where we see the damage from the bullets in the scapula. And Dr. Cruz, when asked to opine as to the cause of death and manner of death, indicated that she died of gunshot wounds and the manner of death was homicide. And then the final piece of the puzzle comes into play relative to those casings. I shouldn't say casings, those bullets that were found with Riaja's body. There were 3. There was damage to some. However, when Mike Tate, I believe, talked about this, I get Mike Tate and Mike Schmidt mixed up. He talked about how he goes through the process of weighing that ammunition to get a sense of the caliber, and it was 38 caliber ammunition. That gun that was recovered from the pond, there were empty casings within that revolver. It was 38 caliber ammunition. while there was damage to the bullets, there were markings on those bullets that could be compared to the types of markings that would be generated from the LaCierre Comanche. And when we stop and consider the manufacturing process and the types of markings that it leaves, it was consistent with it. And when Mike Tate ran the types of guns that could be used to fire this type of ammunition, the LaCierre Comanche was on that list. Your Honor, when you go through this entire sequence of events, while most of the evidence is circumstantial, and we do have some direct evidence, the evidence in this case is overwhelming, and the conclusions are clear. The child was taken from that apartment by a man who was not her father. She was taken so that the adult nor her brother would know. She was sexually assaulted, and then that child was murdered. And based on all of this, the state is asking you to find Mr. Dinkins guilty of murder in the first degree and kidnapping.
We'll take our mid-morning break at this time. We'll reconvene in approximately 15 minutes.
Awesome job. Whoo, Lord, y'all. Y'all, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. I'm so sorry about that. I'm so. I woke up. I said, "Oh no, I did." You know, ooh, girl, I ain't know I was asleep. Oh no, I ain't know I was asleep until I woke up. I always take me a nap on my second round. I ain't know I woke up. She was still talking. Ooh. Sweetie said she thought it was. Sweet talking about she thought it was Henry Mike. Y'all funny, boy. Ooh, wait. I was tired. I was so sleepy. Oh, Lord have mercy. Ooh, wait. She did read that lady right there, boy. Call them hoes. Yeah, she got down, boy. And I woke up. I said, she's still talking. She still talking. She threw it up, boy. Oh, Lord have mercy. I ain't know all that loud. Yeah, and so, and then y'all, I told y'all I be sitting in my, guess where I got the laptop sitting at, y'all? I mean, Jesus. I got the laptop, y'all, sitting on top of my stomach. That's why y'all heard me. Oh, Lord have mercy. Ooh, wee. Just the grave. I'm just the grave. Y'all funny. What is that? But you know what? Oh, she, you know what? That lady's fault for Henry. Ooh, she spoke for boy, she tore it up. Girl, that lady right there. Yeah, I tell you, she did it. Henry sitting over there looking like somebody, like he rocking somebody. Like now he feel bad now. I appreciate y'all. When y'all came in, I was like, where all these people come from? You know, when I first started. When I was doing the case, I said, what's up with this case right here? I didn't know it was that many people interesting, y'all, in this case. You said you knew it was me because I have it on my computer. I was so tired. I be getting up there, y'all. I be getting up there. And I was like, when they gonna finish? Because I got to go back to work. I got to go back to work at 12:30. I leave out by the 1 o'clock. Now look, y'all, I bet the defense lawyer sitting a attorney over there saying, dang, she done wrote the whole book. I appreciate y'all. When y'all came in, I told my son and my daughter, I said, they are interacting. I said, TJ, they are participating. I've been wanting this for a long time. And y'all came in here and y'all did it. But y'all, that defense lawyer might well just go on and hush. Good gun. Oh boy. I want to hear the defense turn. I appreciate y'all. I really do. Y'all just don't know. I've been fighting for that girl. I've been wanting to take my hand and pop that man head upside. Boy, Henry got the right women, boy. See, mine would have never went no way. Henry ain't my type of man, no way, but mine wouldn't have went anyway. If my children scared of somebody, they ain't none of them going nowhere. Ain't nobody, everybody stay here. He ain't gonna say that that defense attorney ain't got nothing to say. He might well just go ahead on and go to lunch. I appreciate y'all. Thank you. I appreciate y'all. Y'all don't know I talk about y'all. I even tell the people on my job. I tell my parents, my young parents, how y'all been doing. Henry ain't smiled not one time today. He ain't smiled not one. He ain't played in his hair today. He used to take his hand. I don't know what is that on his head. Them ain't no dread. He too old for that mess. He need to cut that mess. Boy, he trying to look cute for nobody want to look at him. Get them young, yeah, with some low self-esteem to control and dominate. And that's what he did. That's what he did. I don't like for nobody to do women like that. Y'all don't know me. You call me and my crew coming. The old lady crew coming. The old lady crew coming. Who was that? Esther. You know how Esther used to bring her game. Me and my crew coming. That me will bring the whole old lady group with me. But we go tear it up. Oh, he got gold in his mouth. I ain't know he had them grills in his mouth. Man, his teeth about to fall out. His teeth about to fall out. Let me turn y'all some music on. I want them to come back on before I go back to work. Cause it was hard yesterday. My phone got hot. Mika, did she turning him everywhere but loose fat? It's twist in the wind. That you know what? That a man attorney, that defense attorney won't him to go to jail. I love the part DL said he came back with broke gold chain and broke. DL did say that, did it? Oh, what's the name? What her name? Brianna tore all that stuff up. Brianna will fight him, y'all. I don't care what y'all said. Brianna was whooping on Henry butt. So he had to get rid of her. Because she was gonna tell. She wouldn't stop. That girl fought for her life. Oh, she mentioned his mole. I know that, right? I want the break to be I don't be knowing. I want them to come on back now. I think Brianna broke that chain. Yeah, Brianna broke that chain. Brianna told him up. Brianna fought that man. That girl ain't no easy. She wasn't easy on him. All the women, he got 2 women he could have got. He could have. What's her name? Say she wasn't gonna mess with him no more. What her name? The mama said she didn't want him no more. See, the mama got out of it. The mama, when she got out of him, she was done. And then he met the other woman. He want them young. Henry ain't my type. Ooh, Lord, I don't put nigga on there. Yeah, that orange juice. See, he was glad somebody drank that orange. Look, when he found out they drank that orange juice, he know he had something in that orange juice. That's why he got mad. He know he wasn't mad. He knew something. Say, I bet Brianna drank that orange juice, y'all. I bet they gave that orange. I bet he gave that orange. It's something about that orange juice, and they ain't bring it up. He Henry know what he did with that orange juice. He know what's going on. If he did put something in there, it would make sense. And Drill couldn't remember the first interaction with the. I think Brianna drunk it. And he talking about where that juice at. Yeah, you could tell their self-esteem is low. That's why I be telling women. I got a video out, y'all. I upload a good video for y'all. I ain't gonna even talk about it. I just want y'all to respond to it. Was that car that attracted that woman? Yeah, see, Andrea like that black car. She don't like that red purple car. He sure ain't, but they think he cute. And that $100 bill, Meech. And he offered that man $100 to pull him out that ditch. And this is what I think DL will start trying to explain. But he did. The man, Jared, what is his name? Jared. The man helped him out the ditch and said that he offered him $100. Then he gonna tell his son that the fisherman, he offered them $100. But like you said, Meech, he was talking about he offered that man to help him get out the ditch. Wow, that's crazy. You know what, Meech? You're right. DL telling the truth. he was talking to the man. He was talking about the man help him out to do. Boy, that boy saved his sister life. Thank you, Jesus. He had an orange juice in the refrigerator, sweetie. He had an orange juice in the refrigerator, and DL said he was raising sand about it. He said, "Who drunk my orange juice?" Yeah, it's something in that orange juice. Yeah, that orange juice. That man had a fit when they drank that orange juice. The car, the grill, the gold shoes, and the fake chains. And caught them ladies' attention. All the women said they got a cute man. None of that, boy. You know what? That cute right there. I like this. The car, the grill, the gold shoes, the fake chains, and 100. Henry was the pimp, baby. Pimp City. He probably get his hair blown out. Kill a cat daddy. Y'all is funny, boy. What y'all say? Kill a cat daddy. They gonna bounce some around in there while he tried. Cause that man said he trying to make friends in there, and don't nobody want to talk to him. Whew, why women have to know. That's right. I be telling women they beautiful. I say you so beautiful, and making they get their self-esteem built up. I mean, it's just he showed you and broke. She said broke. Want to be pimp messing with children. Ooh, I got so much for Henry. I want to tell Henry something so bad. I did real good bite my tongue over him with Henry. I just been looking at him. I said, all that women, he got a whole woman, a short woman, and he ain't even go to her. He's sitting there looking like somebody. Hey, a little anonymous, somebody, granddaddy, somebody. Henry think he cute. He didn't know his phone number. He didn't know what he did with creation, and he didn't know his address. Who to pray on? He sure do know who to pray on. I would never been me. I wouldn't been talking to him no way. He ain't even my type of man. They waiting for the trail to be over. Oh yeah, they want Henry in prison. When that man came in there, he said he trying to be friends with us. Ain't nobody want nobody to talk to him. If she was skinny, she may resemble a child. Yeah, that's true. He don't draw that girl crazy. Granddaddy with the yeah. Oh, boy, y'all is funny, boy. Oh, Lord have mercy. Do you hear me? Get your butt off of my face. Yeah. Henry. Boy, I be done took y'all over there. We be done tore Henry up. The mama name was Leisha. That was his mom name, Leisha. I studied that. Leisha. Henry got out of jail and did that baby like that. They need to come on now before I go back. I gotta go back. Matt Daddy. Henry thought he was 21 years old, y'all. And go mess with a baby. Ooh, wait. Did you hear prosecutor Miss Cunningham say apartment was? Yeah, they showed the apartment. Yeah, she said it was a mess. First time she ever threw shade. I love it. She was telling the truth. I'm gonna spend her a thank you card. That lady did an awesome job. I love that woman. I like women take up for kids like that. Met daddy. I like women take up for kids. Probably smell like what she say? What she say? Probably smell like sandalwood. Nah, it's the other one. What the other one is? What the other cologne is? The Old Spice. Let me stop cause somebody like so spicy. Whew. Let's send purple ones. Let's send purple from me and Brick. Y'all wanna put up that? Y'all wanna put up the purple in the what y'all say put up? What y'all putting up? We can do it. She ain't bad. He up here. What the little boy said that he cooked, the dad cooked something like that. That little boy smart. What y'all want to throw in the chat? Y'all said purple heart. What y'all said purple and what? We'll do it if I knew how to do it. I don't know how to do it. Oh, that was her favorite color. But y'all, we need to put purple in the chat for her then. Let's put purple in there for Briasia, y'all. Ladies. Y'all, let's put purple heart for Briasia. That's sweet. God gonna bless us. I can't even make no heart over him with mine. I don't think I can put a little bit. Yeah, y'all, let's put that baby supposed to be him playing basketball. And she like basketball too, y'all. She like to play basketball. I can't even put my heart. I had to go to my phone to put my heart up. Hold on, let me go to my phone. I'm gonna put basketball up too, cause she like basketball too. That was sweet of y'all to think of that. That was real sweet. That was real sweet of y'all to think of that. What happened to what's his name? He done went to sleep too. He gone. Yeah, y'all, let me put mine on. I gotta go through my phone and put my heart on there for the baby. Tell that baby like that. We gotta protect our kids. I don't know how to make that other little thingy. We love you, Bree. Oh yeah, the basketball. Let me put the basketball. She like basketball, yeah. I love. Let's see basketball. Let me find the basketball. Here it comes. Let me turn up the music.
Mr. Freeze.
Thank you. Thank you. And Your Honor, as we talked about off the record with the court permission, I'm going to remain seated so I stay close to a microphone. Your Honor, one thing I was told repeatedly when I was growing up is that to be very careful who you point the finger at. When you point the finger at someone, 3 more are always pointing right back at you. And nowhere in my career have I seen a case where the finger of accusation being pointed at a client has 3 more pointed back at the prosecution more strongly and more firmly than this one right here. I'm going to submit to you just very plainly that this case is being thrown in your lap because the prosecution doesn't trust you. They don't trust you to convict Mr. Dinkins on this evidentiary record. They want you to decide this case on a motion. They want you to decide the case with cameras and media in the courtroom, all the officers sitting here. They want you to decide the case based upon that, rather than this fairy tale that they've spun and this circumstantial, and I use that in quotes, evidence case that they want you to believe. Rhetorically, I want to look you in the eye. I want to ask you a couple of questions. Are you totally convinced that Henry Dinkins committed these crimes? Are you firmly and fully satisfied that the evidence that's been presented before you is enough to say that Henry Dinkins committed these crimes?
Yeah.
Those are really the burning questions for you, because that's what reasonable doubt comes down to. You know, our Supreme Court has approved the jury instruction that says, based upon all the evidence, drawing all the inferences from the evidence, or in some cases, lack of evidence produced, would a reasonable person hesitate to act? And I would submit to you that if someone come up to you and said, did Henry Dinkins commit murder in the first degree? Did Henry Dinkins commit kidnapping in the first degree?
Yeah.
Would you immediately say yes, or would you have to stop and think? There's no way on this evidentiary record that you would not have to stop and think, because there simply is no evidence to support the state's theory that this man committed these crimes. You simply cannot say, based upon what has been presented here, that Henry Dinkins set out on a plan to sexually assault this 10-year-old girl and then decide to execute her, because that's what it was. It was an execution. Any reasonable person would hesitate to act on this record. A person may have an opinion. I think the state has an opinion. I think the state feels they got it right. I think the state thinks that Henry Dinkins did this, but that's not the standard. The standard is, did the state prove it beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yeah.
This is not a whodunit. This is not a whodunit.
You can't even stand up.
This is who proved it.
You don't want us to see how you
I
look.
find it ironic that we're talking about Henry Dinkins committing sexual abuse upon Breasia Terrell, but we're not here talking about him being charged with sexual abuse upon Breasia Terrell. I find that very ironic, and so should you. I find it ironic that there's not one piece of physical evidence that can say ever that Henry Dinkins touched this girl in any way, let alone even give her an untoward glance or make an off-color comment or tell her she looks nice, even give her a compliment about her appearance. None of that. What we have is, and what this court is being asked to believe is, by fact that he wasn't paying attention to his biological son, therefore he must be some insidious intent toward a non-biological child with whom he had a relationship. And because he spent more time in the bedroom watching her play a video game and playing a video game with her,
he took her out the house too. Excuse
that
me.
got the wheels turning, and that got the libido moving. And there's absolutely no evidence of that. Andrea Culberson didn't give you any indication that Henry Dinkins was acting untoward toward Breasia Terrell. In fact, the evidence you've heard is quite the contrary. The evidence you heard from DL, we'll talk a lot about DL down the road, but from Andrea Culberson, was that everyone was happy that night. It was a good night. You heard it from Aisha Langford as well, that when Breasia come down to get her clothes, she was happy. She was learning how to be an AT&T operator.
Yeah.
It was a good night. Henry cooked dinner that evening for the kids. And he cooked dinner for Aisha as well, even though she's a stepchild. Aisha liked going over there because she liked the snacks. Breasia, because you liked the snacks. That was Henry Dinkins set about grooming this little girl with vanilla Oreos? I don't think so.
Yeah, he want that
That's a
check.
theory that the state may have. That speaks volumes as to what this case is. It's a case built upon conjecture. It's a case built upon supposition. It's a case built upon assumption. And it's a case built upon hypothesis. I think you heard Detective Obert say it's the theory.
Well, why he take out that house?
That's in the record. It's the theory. We don't convict people on theories. We convict people on evidence beyond a reasonable doubt.
Well, he took out the house.
That's just not here.
Look at him.
The threshold question, of course, and the state admits this when they went into a sexual assault discussion right off the bat, is why. What motive did Henry Dinkins have to hurt this little girl? None. Absolutely none. In her 10 years of life, he had only been good to that girl. Was he there every day of her life? No. Was he there to provide and be the perfect father figure? No. But we're not judging him as a father. We're not judging him as a stepfather. He was there enough for her to have a relationship with him. He was there enough for her to feel comfortable going there. And most importantly, he was there enough that Grandma, Danita Gardner, felt comfortable sending her along.
No,
I would
she
submit
didn't.
that Danita Gardner would not have sent her child, her grandchild along, if she felt any inkling that this child was in danger, that Henry Dinkins would somehow sexually harm that child. That's common sense in this case. And in fact, you heard Henry's or testimony that Henry first said, no, I'm going to spend the weekend with DL. And then DL kept saying, come on, Briasia, come on, Briasia. And finally, you can see DL doing that. He's kind of a hyper rambunctious kid. Briasia relented and Grandma relented as well. But the plan, if there ever was one, was at that point for Briasia to come along. This man had not seen DL in over a month since the cookout. And so it was never discussed for Briasia to come over. So to think that he had some sort of preconceived notion that he and Briasia were going to engage in some sort of illicit activity.
He ain't talking about it, man.
Isn't there either. Aisha Langford was informed that Briasia was over there, and she was fine too. Both Danita Gardner and Aisha Langford testified that relationships between Briasia and Henry were good. And neither one had a problem with Briasia spending the night, even though it was the first night at this new location. So the crime just has to make sense. And the state knows this. The state knows this. I mean, they absolutely know this. So they try to spin this yarn that he's standing in a bedroom in this very small apartment. And DL says he peeks a couple times and sees Dad spending more time with Briasia. We're going to rely on that as a motive.
Yeah.
A motive to commit a sex act.
Yeah.
That he sexually abused this child. I'd say not.
Hurry up, man, because you ain't talking about it, man.
There has to be some connection to that and why he would want her dead. And the state has tried to put together this elaborate time frame with evidence that they say could be Henry Dinkins to say that he actually sexually abused her. Now, Ms. Cunningham called Henry very savvy. I disagree with that. I disagree with that wholly. I mean, look at this man right here. He is not a savvy individual in that regard. If you think about and compress this down to almost the most ridiculous time frame that we have, everybody in that apartment was, as far as the children, and Miss Culberson at least, is asleep by midnight. Mr. Dinkins was in the Davenport Police Department by noon the next day.
He's supposed to.
That's a 12-hour window. A 12-hour window for him to accomplish a lot of things that just doesn't make sense. Those 12 hours include waking up Briasia, who's a tattletale, who joins him voluntarily. And evidently, the theory is that some sedan, they can't identify that car as Mr. Dinkins, first of all. It's just a sedan.
Oh, did.
Goes down to his RV, and these people get out of the car down to the RV. They can't put him in the RV. It's in the area of the RV. Henry rapes her. And then evidently goes back again to probably cover up the crime. Comes back and you know he's at the home at 3:30 a.m. At 3:30 a.m., he's in the house, and Briasia is seen by Miss Culberson outside the Impala. I think it bears noting that no one ever put Briasia inside that Impala. No one. Didn't even try. There wasn't even an effort to put her in that Impala. It was the assumption that she was in the Impala.
He represented his client, Vince.
At 3:30, then they assume that these two take off. He drives her up to the area of Kunau Implement, 20, 30 minutes, kills her.
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
The time to shoot her 3 times, and we'll talk about the shooting, somewhat cover it up, and get back to Jersey Meadows around 5:30-ish and pick up his son. And he and his son go back to Clinton. 7 o'clock, they're at the Walmart in Clinton. They take their time coming back. If you believe DL's version of the events, he's covering it up with bleach out there, and they're back in town by 8 o'clock. And 8 o'clock to 12 o'clock, there's phone calls being made. He's supposedly moving about Clinton, but in this time also, he's discarding clothes. He's showering and scrubbing himself up, making sure all possible crime scenes are sprayed with bleach, and doing it 100% successfully. So not only has he got the mindset to be able to do all this, but he's doing it to an absolute T. There's absolutely nothing left behind. They want to talk a lot about bleach and how bleach destroys DNA, but they also have to get you to assume and understand that not only if their theory is right, that Mr. Dinkins not only did it, but he did it to the point that he destroyed any possibility of DNA at any crime location on any piece of evidence. Because what they forget to tell you, Your Honor, is that they brought in the FBI crime team, okay?
Put that file, boy. Put that
They didn't
file.
bring in just local people with local resources. They brought in the FBI crime team, and they spent hours combing that RV, okay? And in that RV, they took everything that they thought there would be DNA on. They took anything they thought there would be blood on. They took anything they thought there'd be semen on. They vacuumed their little special vacuums that thought would get any trace evidence on. They took hair. For crying out loud, these people were dressed in Tyvek suits, rubber boots, hats. That's how seriously they took preservation of evidence. And what do we know they found in the RV? Nothing. They were asked to test for blood and semen because from jump, this case was thought to be Henry Dinkins raped this little girl. And that was their theory, and that's what they were going with. The very first moment that man went to the police station, that was their theory. Can't convince me otherwise.
Come on, you already said it. You ain't saying this. Hurry up,
Why?
man.
Why was they only testing for that? Why won't they want all DNA to see maybe who else had been in there? blood and semen. Their choice at that point was to make a case against Henry Dinkins, not build a case based upon the evidence. You see, they'd already concluded that Henry Dinkins had done this. And now we're going to build the evidence around that conclusion and pick only the evidence that surrounds that conclusion. But nothing in that RV. Now, had she been raped in that RV, they would have found something. I would submit that to you, a hair, some sort of DNA, but they didn't test for DNA. And that's not his fault. It's their burden. It's their burden. And they had that evidence back within a month or so. And they had no blood, they had no semen, and they had no trace evidence. And they had a good year and a half to say, you know what, let's send that back to the FBI, or ask the FBI to test it, or send it on to the DCI. They can do DNA testing on any cuttings or swabs or fabric or whatever. But what was the answer we got when I asked that of Detective Pfeiffer? My supervisor said no. My supervisor said no. Not his fault. Their fault. Their burden. They say that she was assaulted in that RV. They need to prove she was assaulted in that RV. Not just say, well, there was cleaner bleach sitting there, so he must have cleaned it up. Okay, we now know we have a test for bleach. TCI, we heard Agent Stepanski. Okay, let's have Agent Stepanski test it for bleach. There's no elements breaking down anything in the RV. We have it in a controlled environment, for Christ's sake. Let's test that area for bleach. But then if it hadn't come back with the answer they wanted, they pivot off that and say, well, you know, there's bleach and laundry products, and we wouldn't have found it there anyway. But note, when they searched that vehicle on July 10, when they went into that vehicle, hours after this young girl had supposedly been sexually assaulted, hours after this man supposedly sprayed it all down with cleaner bleach and killed all the DNA and got rid of any evidence, no odor of bleach was detected. And when you're going to kill DNA, Your Honor, I would submit that when you're going to kill DNA, you don't give it just a couple squirts. You make sure it's dead. You make sure it's gone. And in that enclosed environment, that small enclosed environment, you're going to smell bleach. But then they introduce these albatross pieces of evidence meant to scare you, meant to prejudice you, like the machete, which has nothing to do with anything in this case. There's no evidence that machete was used in any crime. There was no sharp force trauma to Breja Terrell, and Dr. Graham, Dr. Cruz both said that there could have been, maybe should have been, if that large knife was used to harm Breja Terrell. And look at that evidence. Look at it closely. That machete is brand new. Not a nick on the blade. The edge of that blade is just like you bought it at the store. There's not so much as anything that would say that was used to cut a bush. It is brand new. But we have white fibers on there, and we tested it against some other fibers. They didn't match, but you know, we'll forget about that. And we have a baseball bat. I'm going to ask you rhetorically again, what does a baseball bat have to do with anything? It's in the evidence, and we found it in the trunk. And baseball bats can be scary in crime cases, but there's no evidence to support what the baseball bat has to do with anything. Well, it's a prejudicial piece of evidence and makes Henry look scary. And then the hatchet. Well, the hatchet, you look at that as well, brand new. Brand new, never been used. Never been used. Has nothing to do with anything in this case. You think back to the testimony of Danita Gardner. She was asked by the state about how Henry was with the children, and how he disciplined, if he ever disciplined a Brieja? The answer was no. In fact, his discipline with DL was not very often. But when he did, he made him run. He wasn't the guy that got physical with the children. At the cookout, he brought stuff for the children, brought them candy, things like that. He was an affectionate guy.
Oh.
No markers that he was trying to groom Brieja for anything. They want you to believe that he was that night in the bedroom playing video games, and this idea popped in his head. Well, I'm going to molest this girl who I think of as my daughter. And now the state wants you to say, well, because he didn't do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rationally during a time where I would submit to you things were irrational. Your child is missing. Your son's mother's other child is missing. You may not think exactly the way that you would think in rational circumstances. So they're going to put judgment on that. They're going to put judgment on that. They're going to judge him as a stepfather and say, well, that makes him a killer. That makes him a sexual abuser. Bottom line is, the state developed their theory way too early in this case. And that theory was Henry Dinkins killed this girl.
He sure is, Amir.
Henry Dinkins molested this girl. So now let's go find the evidence to find it. And the problem is they couldn't find it. They had all the evidence to possibly put her in that Impala, but they didn't test for the DNA to put her in the Impala because the FBI was told she was in the Impala. And when it came back that we didn't test for DNA in the Impala, then the brass at the Davenport PD said, don't test for it. Why on earth was that not done? I'm going to have Mr. Waters also show a couple of photos right here, and I'll have him state for me which they are. Which one's this, Joel? Picture 12-17. This is a photo that come from the rear passenger side of the Impala. What I want the court to see there is you'll see 1, 2, 3 water bottles. You'll see a can of Pringles. You'll see a cup, a black cup there. What do people do with water bottles and cups and Pringles? They eat the Pringles, they drink the water bottles, they sip out of the cup. What do people do when they drink out of water bottles, drink out of cups, and eat Pringles? They leave DNA behind. Those weren't seized or handled for DNA either. All of which could have put Brieja Terrell in that Impala. None of which would have proved she'd been sexually assaulted, but all could have put her in that Impala that night. But that was ignored. Again, shows the theory that they were looking through tunnel vision and had their decision made. He sexually assaulted her, and that's why she's dead. We just got to find her, and we'll build our case around that. Mr. Waters showed the other one. This is 12-24, and this is from the rear driver door. And what you see there again, another water bottle, another Diet Mountain Dew bottle. You even see what appears to be a kid's mask. Now, again, those were drank by someone. A mask was worn by someone. Those are some things we can get DNA off of, Your Honor. None of those prove sexual assault. You aren't going to find any blood or semen on those. I know that. You know that. But again, those are items where we commonly find DNA. They weren't tested because their mind had been made up that she was in that car. He had raped her. And they'd find blood. But again, they had the opportunity. They had the evidence for a year, year and a half, and they just chose not to because the bosses said, don't worry about it. when you think about, you take this off. When you think about the state's argument, they talked about how Henry portrayed himself as a father figure at the beginning of the interview. And toward the end of the interview, the issues between he and Aisha kind of came out, that it was maybe a little antagonistic. I don't know how that can be considered proof that he killed or raped anybody. Any relationship between people, especially who aren't together anymore, is going to have that. You can be a father figure to someone and not get along with mom all the time. I mean, this court is very experienced in things like that. But she said that Henry tried to show the outward perception that Miss Langford and Miss Gardner had a sense of trust about him, and that he would never do anything to hurt the child. That's not a perception, that's a fact. Those kids wouldn't have been there had those two individuals thought that Henry would never do anything to hurt a child. But since the interview got tense later on, something changed. Somehow those perceptions must have changed, and that's just not true. That's just not true. The evening went well. It was July 9th was a good time for all those people, and there was no need for anyone to concern or worry. And even Aisha said it went well, and she was there later that night. The death of Briasia, we need to talk about that, because it was an execution. It was a terrible death. Okay, I don't think there's any doubt that she likely was shot right where she was found. And think about the person that pulled the trigger. I would submit to you that the person that pulled that trigger was very close to that 10-year-old girl. And he pulled that trigger 1, 2, 3 times on a 10-year-old child. That takes a special kind of person to do that. That's not him. So fold that kind of person into the theory that the government wants you to understand that, okay, we're playing video games. It made DL mad, at least to the point where he noticed it. He has this idea that now I'm going to molest this girl, and I did it according to the state. And then I take her back home according to the state. She gets out of the car, and she's a tattletale and all. And she waits. She waits outside the car, if you believe the state, right? She waits for Henry supposedly go in and get a gun, which we heard no evidence of anyone ever seeing him with a gun, ever seeing him with ammunition. And I don't think the evidence came in that he was hiding something. Andrea Culberson said she just couldn't see him with anything. There's a difference. And then she waited for him to come back. Now, I think the government argued that he knew that she was going to tattletale on the fact that he had just molested her. So he went in and got this 6-shooter that no one knew anything about, never seen before, with no additional ammunition anywhere. And I submit to you, that's pretty telling, because where you see a gun, you see ammunition. The likelihood of someone having a 6-shooter with no additional ammunition anywhere is 0. Where you have a gun, you have ammunition. You saw that in Andrea Culberson's gun. She had 50 rounds right with her gun. You don't just carry around a cylinder full of Winchester 38 plus Ps. There would be 10, 12 bullets. Even if they were loose, there's always extra. So how did he know that Briasia was going to tell on him? You have to assume she said so. You would think she'd be distraught. You think she'd be upset. But instead, she stands outside the car, according to Andrea Culberson. And if you believe the state's theory, she waited. And then she got back in the car with Mr. Dinkins. And then he goes to Quick Shop and he goes in and gives 7 glances out to his car at 3:30 in the morning. I'm not sure that's such a big deal, but if that's your evidence you're relying on to convict this man, that's a stretch, Your Honor. That's a big stretch. And he takes his keys with him at 3:30 in the morning. I would submit you should. And he filled up his tank with gas. Well, he needed a full tank of gas to go to Clinton. People fill their tanks all the time when they need gas. The fact that he's filling it up to go to Clinton is another speculation. That's not circumstantial evidence. That's speculation. The 7 nods out to the car, that's not circumstantial evidence. That's speculation. They're guessing on what he's doing. That's all they want to call it circumstantial, but it's all theory. It's all guesswork. It's all speculation. And this tattletale, who you would assume has just been through a very traumatic, terrible experience, according to the state, stays in the car. Doesn't tattletale to anybody else. There's people in that parking lot, people going in and out of Quick Shop. She has a good mama. She has a good grandma. I'm sure she was told about stuff like this. If she's in that car, no evidence she was bound, no evidence she was restrained. The video of the car just sits dead still right there. Nothing going on. So evidently she rides along. They go up to Kunow Implement, and then he takes her down in the woods. This girl he's fond of, at least. And he walks her into the woods, and then essentially from a very close range, this man has it in him to stick 338 slugs in her head and chest and leave her there, and then have the time or whatever to try to cover it up. This is all thought about by him. So he's already covered up the sexual assault. So now he's killed her. He's executed her. Now he's got to cover that up. I mean, this man is the best cover-up artist, should be on TV. But now he's done that. He followed the state's theory. And then he decides to walk over and dump the gun in the water. Get rid of the gun. Now, they talk about time frames. Time frames, they can be fickle. People drive different speeds, people stop along the way, whatever. The time frames prove very little without something to put with it. So they try to use Jared Brink, okay? And don't get tripped up by Jared Brink. Do not get tripped up by Jared Brink. I'll have Mr. Waters use the pointer and point to the first picture up in the upper right. This is the information of Jared Brink. In the first picture way up right, that was the pictures of the vehicles and the photos of Mr. Dinkins that was shown to Jared Brink. Now, I will direct you to his deposition testimony and his interview, Your Honor. Mr. Brink told officers that he could not pick Mr. Dinkins out of a 6-person lineup. He did say that one of those on the top, I believe it was the upper right-hand corner, maybe the one in the middle, could have been the driver of the car if he gained 50 more pounds. Okay. He also, in his deposition testimony, under oath, used the term Malibu that he pulled out. Not Impala, he says Malibu. Okay. Remember, he's a car guy. They kept saying he's a car guy. He says he pulled out a Malibu. He also says that there was a white ox cord, right? But he also said that car had a tan interior. That's a tan interior. I'm not sure it's a tan interior. The state, which buttresses my argument that they found only the evidence they want, do self-tower analysis on Mr. Brink's phone. Now, we know where Mr. Brink lives. We know where Mr. Brink goes to work. Of course, Mr. Brink's phone would hit off a tower on July 10th because that's the route he takes to work every day. Had we done Mr. Brink's cell phone tower analysis for 9 months, you're going to see that for 9 months. But again, let's just do it for July 10th because that puts him as the man who pulled out this man from the ditch. And it fits the timeline just perfectly for us. Okay, we started that conclusion. Let's get cell phone records for 1 day. That fits our narrative. But if we collect evidence about the case and being fair, we would have thought, let's get some from the spring and the fall as well, because Jared Brink said very clearly that it was cold that day. He thought it was the fall, thought it was 40 or 50 degrees. So let's not be fair about it. Let's just get the evidence we need so we can pin it on this guy. That speaks volumes to the investigation that was done here. The other thing about the gun I think you need to think long and hard about is there was discussion about the gun and how guns in crimes like these many times are stolen. They're illegal. Serial numbers get ground off. This gun was traced back to the point of origin and has never once been reported stolen. That gun was legally purchased and legally owned by somebody. Legally purchased and legally owned by somebody. And there's no connection to that gun to Henry Dinkins. So Henry Dinkins, if he did shoot that person, did not steal a gun from anybody, and he sure as heck didn't buy it from anybody. There'd be a registered record of it. All we know is that gun came from Iowa City. But that particular firearm was never, ever reported stolen. There'd be a record of that. People have guns stolen. People report them stolen. I want to point the court out to sample testing that the state really relies on. And I want the court to look very closely at the exhibit on that. There's a couple of things about that that I think are important and very explanatory. Again, that is another piece of evidence that fits the theory. So let's point to those 3 areas of samples that were taken that are for inclusion, okay? Don't get tripped up by that word inclusion. It doesn't mean it's that it came from that area. It just means that it cannot be eliminated, okay? It's those word tricks that the FBI plays. Remember the testimony of the individual who did the soil samples. First of all, the 10 samples came from a very small area, the size of an automobile, okay? 7 of those were absolutely not a match. Those are excluded. So the size of an automobile, 7 don't match, 3 are supported for inclusion. That really doesn't tell us anything at all. It says it could be